I've put together over 3 hours of pure Pokémon nostalgia for you. Close your eyes, or maybe keep them half open if you're relaxing on the couch after a long day. Let the soft glow of your screen fade into the background, like the pixels of an old Game Boy screen in the dim light of your childhood bedroom. This is your invitation to a world that's been waiting for you, the world of Pokémon. Not the rush of battles or the thrill of catching them all, but a gentle wander through the memories that shaped us, the ones that whisper of simpler times and endless adventures. For the next 3 hours, we'll meander through the nostalgia that Pokémon gifted us, from the very first spark of curiosity when we booted up that red cartridge, to the quiet joys of exploring regions we once dreamed about. This isn't about staying awake, it's about letting those familiar tunes and stories lull you into peace, like Pikachu curling up for a nap under a starry Kanto sky. Imagine it. The year is 1998, or maybe it was a little later for you. Doesn't matter. You're a kid, or perhaps sneaking a play session as a teen, and there's this game that promises a journey unlike any other. You press start and Professor Oak's voice crackles through the tiny speakers, offering you a choice that feels monumental: Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle. Your heart races a bit, but in a good way, the kind that builds excitement without overwhelming. You pick one, maybe Charmander, with its determined little flame tail flickering like a candle in the wind, and step out into Pallet Town. The grass rustles under your virtual feet, and the world opens up, vast and full of possibility. That first encounter with a Pidgey, the wild swish of it bursting from the tall grass, it wasn't just a battle, it was the start of a friendship, a bond that Pokémon always nailed so perfectly. As we settle in tonight, let's not rush. Breathe deep. Feel the weight of the day slipping away. Pokémon wasn't just a game, it was a companion through lonely afternoons, a shared language with friends at recess, trading cards sticky from lunchroom fingers. Remember the thrill of evolving your EV into a Flareon? Watching that glow happen on screen? Or the frustration melting into triumph when you finally beat Brock's Onix with your underleveled team? These moments, they're etched in us. Soft edges now, ready to soothe rather than excite. We'll revisit them all, layer by layer, like peeling back the pages of an old Pokédex. Picture the anime too. Those Saturday mornings glued to the TV, Ash Ketchum bursting onto the scene with boundless energy, Pikachu at his side, zapping Team Rocket's sky high. "I choose you," he'd yell, and you'd echo it in your mind, pretending your backpack held a Pokeball ready to unleash. Misty's temper, Brock's cooking disasters, the way they'd stumble into every town with a new gym or a quirky contest. It was chaos wrapped in heart, teaching us about perseverance without ever preaching. And the music, oh, that opening theme. I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. It plays faintly now in your head, doesn't it? Not blasting, but humming, a lullaby for grown-up trainers who've traded their bikes for bills, but never lost that spark. Let's ease into the regions, starting where it all began. Kanto, the familiar paths from Viridian Forest to Cerulean City, where the world felt conquerable. You'd bike across Cycling Road, wind in your hair, or at least you'd imagine it while hunched over the controller. Encounters with wild Rattata, the endless grind that somehow never felt like work. And the legends, Mewtwo's origin, that psychic powerhouse born from science gone awry, reminding us even in our dreams that power comes with questions. Tonight, we'll stroll those routes again, not to catch 'em all, but to remember the ones that stuck with us, the loyal starters, the surprise shinies that made our day. But nostalgia isn't just games and shows, it's the collectibles, the merch that cluttered our shelves. That plush Charizard perched on your bed, wings singed from one too many pretend battles. The trading cards, bent and traded for a holographic Venusaur that your friends swore was rare. Opening a fresh booster pack, the crinkle of foil, the gasp at a holographic pull, pure magic. Even the Game Boy itself, that chunky grey brick with the green screen that turned black and white adventures into colour in our minds. Pokémon touched every corner of our lives, from schoolyard boasts about your highest level to late-night strategy sessions with a notebook full of type matchups. As we drift deeper, think about Johto next, that seamless sequel that felt like coming home but with new wonders. The Tin Tower's mystique, Ho-Oh soaring overhead in a rainbow arc, Chikorita's leaf rustling softly, a gentle starter for a gentler region. The friendships there were quieter, more reflective, battling Whitney's Miltank until you learned the power of status moves, or exploring the Whirl Islands for the elusive Kingdra. It was Pokémon growing up with us, adding layers of story, like the radio tower takeover that had real stakes, real emotion. Feel your eyelids growing heavy? Good. Let the words wash over you, like a surf move across a calm sea. We'll touch on Hoenn's vast oceans and tropical vibes where Torchic's chirps echoed through Slateport's markets, and Rayquaza guarded the skies from above. The contests, the double battles, innovations that made every playthrough fresh. Then Sinnoh with its myths and legends, Dialga bending time itself. A reminder that our own journeys have their timeless moments. Unova's black and white morality tales, Carlos's elegant flair, Alola's sunny islands where Z moves packed a punch of Aloha spirit. But it's not just the regions, it's the Pokémon themselves that pull at our hearts. Pikachu, the eternal mascot, cute overload with a thunderbolt edge. That time you taught it surf just to cross one. More pond, or when it learned Volt Tackle and became unstoppable. The evolutions, Jolteon for speed, Vaporeon for grace, endless possibilities in one fluffy package. Legendaries like Lugia, diving through the waves with a cry that echoed your own sense of wonder. Even the overlooked ones like the humble Caterpie, evolving into a Butterfree that fluttered away, teaching us about growth and letting go. In the anime's quieter episodes, there were lessons tucked in. Teamwork in the Orange Islands, courage facing the Elite Four. Ash's losses weren't failures, they were steps forward, much like our own stumbles in life. And the voice actors, Richie with his Sparky, the Twerp Trio's endless antics, brought them to life in ways that stuck. Soundtracks too. The Lavender Town theme, eerie yet comforting, a ghost town lullaby. The victory fanfare after a hard-won badge, a chime that said, "You did it." Now as we settle into this nostalgic haze, consider the community. Forums buzzing with shiny hunting tips, fan art of your favourite ships, cosplay at conventions where you'd spot a life-size Snorlax. Pokémon Go brought it back to the real world, chasing virtual critters in parks, a pandemic saviour for many. But tonight we're inside, cosy, letting the memories play like a personal Poké-flute melody. The stakes here? None really, except reclaiming that peace Pokémon always offered. In a world that's sped up, these stories slow us down, remind us of joy in the simple capture, the bond unbroken. No need to level up or catch 'em all. Just listen, reminisce, and let sleep come like a Pokémon returning to its Pokéball, safe and sound. We'll weave through more tales as the hours unfold. Favourite episodes, hidden mechanics, the evolutions of the franchise itself. From Gold and Silver's day-night cycle to Scarlet and Violet's open-world freedom. The spin-offs, mystery dungeons, heartfelt rescues, Ranger's stylus swipes. But for now, breathe easy. You're not alone. Millions share these dreams. Pikachu's got your back. Ash is just a shout away. Close your eyes fully now, or let them flutter. The journey's begun, soft and steady, into the heart of Pokémon nostalgia. Sweet dreams, trainer. And so we begin our gentle exploration, starting with those first steps in Kanto. The spark of adventure. In the quiet suburbs of Machida, Japan, back in the 1960s, a young boy named Satoshi Tajiri spent his days chasing after something most kids his age overlooked: bugs. Not just any bugs, but the hidden wonders crawling through the underbrush, the ones that could turn a lazy afternoon into an epic quest. You know that feeling, don't you? The thrill of discovery, the way your heart races when you spot something alive and unexpected in the grass. For Satoshi, this wasn't play. It was his world, his first real adventure. Through his eyes, though, I won't make you too hard. Just let the words sink in like a familiar melody. Satoshi was born in 1965. Writers, Japan was buzzing with post-war energy, televisions flickering into homes, and kids like him finding escape in the outdoors. His family ran a little diner, nothing fancy, but it gave him the freedom to roam. And roam he did, armed with nothing but a net, a jar, and an insatiable curiosity. He'd venture into the nearby forests and fields, the kind of places where the air hummed with summer heat, and the ground was alive with secrets. Beetles, butterflies, caterpillars, they weren't pests to him. They were treasures, each one a story waiting to be caught. What drove him, you ask? It started small, like so many passions do. At around 5 or 6, Satoshi caught his first beetle, a sturdy stag beetle with those impressive jaws that looked like they could battle anything. He remembers the weight of it in his hand, the way its legs ticked against the glass of his jar. From there, it snowballed. He'd trade bugs with friends at school, swapping a rare praying mantis for a handful of ladybugs, negotiating like a seasoned merchant. But as the years went on, something shifted. The world around him was changing too fast. Highways sliced through those beloved forests, concrete creeping in like an unwelcome guest. The bugs, his faithful companions, started vanishing, pushed out by progress. Satoshi felt it deeply, that pang of loss. You might remember a time in your own life when something simple, something pure, slipped away. Maybe a favourite park paved over, or a childhood game forgotten. For him, it was the end of an era, but also the spark of something bigger. By his teenage years, Satoshi had collected hundreds of specimens. His room was a makeshift museum, jars lining the shelves, pins holding wings in place. He'd spend hours observing them, sketching their forms in notebooks that piled up like old comic books. But life pulled him in other directions. School wasn't his strong suit. He struggled with grades, more interested in the pages of manga and the glow of arcade machines. Still, those bugs lingered in his mind, a quiet rebellion against the ordinary. In 1982, at just 17, he launched a fanzine called Game Freak, not about insects at first, but about the emerging world of video games. It was crude, photocopied pages shared with a handful of enthusiasts, but it marked his entry into a new obsession. Video games with their pixels and quests echoed the thrill of bug hunting, exploration, capture, collection. You can see the threads connecting already, can't you? That childhood passion didn't fade. It evolved, waiting for the right moment to burst forth. Fast forward to the late 1980s. Satoshi, now in his 20s, was working odd jobs, still tinkering with Game Freak, which had grown into a small magazine covering Nintendo's rise. The Game Boy launched in 1989, a portable powerhouse that hooked the world. Satoshi got one, of course, and as he played, trading tips with friends, via link cables, a light bulb flickered on. Trading, that word again. Bugs traded in jars, now virtual items swapped between players. But what if you could take it further? What if the creatures weren't just numbers on a screen, but living, breathing extensions of that old wonder? It was around 1990 when the real ignition happened. Satoshi sat down with a pencil and paper, not for bugs this time, but for something hybrid. His first sketches emerged from those memories, rough lines capturing the essence of insects he'd chased as a kid, twisted into fantastical shapes. Take the Venusaur line, for instance, its bulbous back reminiscent of a horned beetle, armoured and earthy, but with vines and a roar that turned it mythical. Or Pinsir, those massive pincers straight out of a stag beetle's playbook, ready to clamp down on foes in a digital arena. Satoshi blended the real with the impossible, a caterpillar that evolved into a fiery dragonfly, wings shimmering like captured sunlight, a spider-like creature with psychic powers, echoing the eerie grace of a real tarantula under moonlight. These weren't random doodles. They were born from loss and longing. With the forests gone, Satoshi wanted to preserve that magic. to let kids everywhere experience the joy of discovery without the concrete barriers. He pored over his old collections, flipping through faded photos of his prized catches. A Hercules beetle from the mountains, a jewel beetle sparkling like buried treasure. Each sketch carried a piece of that. The texture of chitin turned scaly hide, the flutter of wings becoming gusts of wind in battle. You feel it, right? The way nostalgia tugs, making you wish you could step back into your own bug hunting days, jar in hand, world at your feet. But sketches alone don't make a game. Satoshi partnered with Ken Sugimori, an artist friend from Game Freak days, to refine those visions. Together they fleshed out over 100 creatures, each one a nod to nature's oddities. There's Paras, a mushroom-capped crab inspired by parasitic fungi on real insects. Or Scyther, a mantis with scythe arms, deadly and elegant like the praying mantises Satoshi once pinned so carefully. The blending was seamless, real anatomy grounding the fantasy, making these pocket monsters feel alive, tangible. Satoshi would describe them in late-night sessions, his voice animated, eyes lighting up, as he explained how a simple pill bug could inspire a rolling steel beast, curling into an unbreakable ball. As the ideas took shape, the concept deepened. It began as a straightforward role-playing game, something like the Dragon Quest titles Satoshi admired. Explore a map, fight turn-based battles, level up your team. But the core mechanic, catching and training these creatures, just like bugs in the wild. You'd weaken them with your own monsters, toss a ball and bam, yours to raise, evolve, battle. No more jars breaking or bugs escaping. This was eternal collection, portable and shareable. Satoshi prototyped it on paper first, mapping out regions, inspired by his childhood haunts, grassy fields, teeming with Pidgey, like common sparrows, with a twist, caves hiding Zubat, bat-like echoes of nocturnal hunts. The evolution from that simple RPG was anything but linear. Early on, it was called Capsule Monsters, a nod to the Pokeballs as capsules holding your prizes. Nintendo passed on it initially. Too niche, they thought. But Satoshi persisted, refining with help from programmer Junichi Masuda. They added trading via link cable, turning solo play into social magic. What started as a personal tribute ballooned, evolutions tied to levels, types like fire-beating grass, mirroring real predator-prey dynamics from the insect world. Bugs versus birds, water versus fire. It all stemmed from those sketches where a ladybug's spots became Poliwag's swirling belly, cute yet fierce. You won't believe how close it came to staying small. By 1995, after years of iteration, Pokémon Red and Green hit Japan on the Game Boy. It wasn't an instant smash. Sales trickled at first, but word spread through schoolyards, trades happening in playgrounds, just like Satoshi's bug swaps. Before long, it exploded. Millions of copies, a craze that crossed oceans. From a kid's solitary hunts to a global phenomenon where fans worldwide collect, compete, even dress as their favourites at conventions. That spark ignited in Machida's fields lit a fire that still burns today, reminding us all of the adventures waiting in the smallest things. Think about your first Pokémon encounter. Was it Pikachu's spark or maybe the mystery of a shiny rare find? Satoshi's dream made that possible, turning his loss into our gain. And as we linger on this spark, you start to wonder, how did this world come together? The maps, the lore, the endless regions that feel so real. That's where we're headed next, into the birth of a world where every town and trail gets its start. Stick around. You won't want to miss how it all unfolds. But let's not rush ahead just yet. Dive deeper into that childhood for a moment. Satoshi wasn't alone in his fascination. Bug collecting was huge in Japan back then, a cultural rite for boys, with clubs and magazines dedicated to it. He'd bike miles to remote areas, enduring scrapes and stings for that one elusive find, a giant water bug skimming ponds, or a cicada shedding its skin like a rebirth. Each catch taught him patience, strategy, approach slow, strike true. Those lessons, they mirror Pokémon battles perfectly. Bait with a move, counter with type advantage. It's all there, subconscious blueprints from youth. And the sketches? Oh, they were raw, passionate outbursts. Satoshi filled notebooks with hybrids, a firefly base for Volbeat, glowing tails tracing paths in the dark, or a centipede segments inspiring Onyx, a rock snake slithering through mountains. He drew influences from global myths too, but always rooted in the local, the Kappa water imp twisted into the turtle-like Squirtle. Shell a nod to armoured beetles. Ken Sugimori polished them, adding colour and personality, but the soul was Satoshi's, infused with the nostalgia of summers past. As the game concept grew, challenges mounted. Budgets were tight. Game Freak was a tiny team. They coded on creaky computers, testing evolutions manually. The initial RPG framework expanded with gyms, badges, a league. Elements borrowed from wrestling and martial arts, but tied back to collection. Imagine the excitement in those early playtests. Catching your first monster, feeling that digital jar seal shut. It evolved from a bug simulator into a full ecosystem, where every creature had a role, a place, just like in nature. The phenomenon part, it hit like a critical hit. By 1996, with Yellow's release, Pikachu became the mascot, but it was the depth that hooked us. Trading evolutions like Alakazam, needing friends to unlock. It built communities, mirroring Satoshi's trades. Globally, it shattered records. Over 100 million games sold by the millennium's end, anime, cards, movies. From sketches in a dim room to stadiums full of cheering fans, it's a testament to one man's spark. Yet at its heart, it's personal. Satoshi once said his goal was to make kids go outside to explore like he did. And it worked. Parents reported children hunting in parks, inspired. You feel that pull too, don't you? That gentle nudge to remember your own sparks. As we wrap this chapter, the adventure's just warming up. The birth of a world awaits, revealing how those sketches built entire landscapes that captured our hearts. What secrets lie in those first maps? You'll see soon enough. To really appreciate the depth, consider the cultural backdrop. In 1970s Japan, rapid urbanization displaced nature, much like Satoshi's forests. His game was a counterculture act, preserving wonder in code. The first sketches, dated around 1989, show evolutions in stages. Caterpillar to butterfly, as Metapod to Butterfree, a direct homage. He even included real bug behaviours, beedrills swarming like honeybee hives he'd observed. The concept's evolution involved pivots. Early versions had human characters as monsters, but that shifted to focus on creatures. RPG elements deepened with story. A villainous team stealing Pokémon, echoing poachers in the wild. It became more than simple. Narrative arcs, moral choices in captures. By beta testing, it was clear. This wasn't niche, it was revolutionary. Globally, the phenomenon reshaped gaming. Localization teams adapted names like Pocket Monsters to Pokémon, sparking curiosity worldwide. You remember the hype, right? Lining up for gold and silver, trading at midnight launches. Satoshi's dream, from bug jars to billions in revenue, proves passion's power. And now, as that spark glows brighter, prepare for the birth of a world. How did those creatures find their homes? The answer's coming, pulling you deeper into the nostalgia. Let's expand on those early days a bit more, because the details make it all click. Satoshi's father, a diner owner, worried about his son's obsessions, bugs over books, but he supported it, even buying nets. Those family moments, sharing catches over dinner, fueled the relational aspect in Pokémon. Bonds with your team. Sketches evolved too. Initial ones were black and white, insect heavy, a scarab for Heracross, horns like wrestling masks. Fantasy crept in gradually, adding elements, powers. By 1991 they had a pitch book for Nintendo, full of these blends. Rejection stung, but each refined the vision. The game's rise organic. Japanese kids spread it via word of mouth, then media frenzy. International launch in 1998 with Red and Blue. America went wild. Pikachu plushies everywhere. From RPG roots to Empire, it's inspiring. You've journeyed with Satoshi this far. The world he built next is even more enchanting. Birth of a World. Let's uncover it together. Birth of a World. In 1989, a small Japanese developer named Game Freak was on the brink of collapse. Their latest project, a quirky handheld game that no one quite knew how to sell. But Nintendo saw something in that prototype, a spark of genius amid the risk, and decided to bet big on it for the Game Boy. That decision would birth an empire, turning a near failure into the foundation of Pokémon, the phenomenon that's captured hearts for decades. You know the thrill of those early captures, don't you? The way your pulse quickened as you tossed that Pokeball. But let's rewind to how it all started, because this story isn't just about creatures. It's about a gamble that changed gaming forever. Game Freak wasn't always the powerhouse behind billion-dollar franchises. Back in the late 1980s, they were a tiny team, barely scraping by after a few modest hits on the Famicom. Their founder, Satoshi Tajiri, grew up in rural Japan, fascinated by collecting insects, beetles, butterflies, the kind of treasures kids chase in tall grass. That childhood passion fueled his vision, a game where players could hunt, collect, and raise digital creatures, roaming a vast world on a portable console. But turning that idea into reality, it was a nightmare. The prototype they pitched to Nintendo was rough, incomplete, with clunky mechanics and creatures that looked more like pixelated blobs than the icons we'd come to love. Nintendo, riding high off the Game Boy's launch in 1989, was hungry for exclusive titles to boost sales. The console was a hit, but it needed games that hooked players on the go. Enter Game Freak's demo, tentatively called Capsule Monsters at first. Executives at Nintendo were skeptical. Handheld gaming was new. Battery life was short. Screens were tiny green and black affairs. Investing in an unproven developer for a game about battling monsters? It screamed risk. Tajiri's team had no track record with RPGs this ambitious. They were asking for resources to build 2 linked games, Red and Green, that would require trading between players to complete your collection. Imagine the leap of faith. No online connectivity back then, just infrared links or cables between Game Boys. What if no one traded? What if the creatures felt too repetitive? Yet Hiroshi Yamauchi, Nintendo's president, greenlit it. He saw the potential in the portability, the endless replayability. They poured in funding, developers, and even suggested tweaks to make it more accessible. Game Freak expanded their team, iterating through prototypes. Early versions had 151 creatures, each with unique stats, types and evolutions. Fire against water, grass against ground, a rock-paper-scissors balance that would define battles. But the real magic was in the world building. Tajiri drew from his bug hunting days, creating regions inspired by Japan's countryside, with routes, gyms and hidden areas teeming with wild encounters. You could venture out, stumble upon a Pidgey fluttering in the grass and decide, fight it, catch it, or run. That choice, that freedom, was revolutionary for a handheld. As development dragged on, delays pushed the release from 1992 to 1996, the pressure mounted. Game Freak burned through budget, Tajiri obsessed over every detail, from the cry of a Pikachu to the strategy of team building. Nintendo's investment wasn't just money, it was a lifeline. Without it, the project dies. With it, they refined the core loop that would addict millions. Think about it. You're 10 years old, Game Boy in hand, screen glowing faintly. You press start and suddenly you're in Pallet Town, choosing between Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle. That moment, born from this risky bet. Now let's dive into those core mechanics, the heartbeat of Pokémon that made it more than just a game. It became a lifestyle. Catching was the gateway drug. Wild creatures roamed the overworld, triggered by random encounters as you walked. You'd weaken them in battle, maybe toss a berry to lower their guard, then hurl a pokeball. The tension of that wobble, 3 shakes, hold your breath, pure suspense. Success meant adding to your Pokédex that Encyclopedia Tajiri dreamed up to encourage completionists like him. But it wasn't mindless collecting. Each catch required strategy. Overlevel your team and you'd one-shot everything. Underlevel and you'd get wiped. You felt the weight of every decision, building a bond with your roster. Training took it deeper. Once caught, your Pokémon leveled up through battles, learning moves that evolved with them. Remember grinding on Route 1, your starter gaining experience points, stats climbing? It mirrored real growth, turning a weakling Rattata into a powerhouse Raticate. Tajiri wanted players to nurture these beings, not just use them as tools. Evolution's added wonder. Expose a Eevee to a stone, watch it transform. And battling? That was the arena where it all came alive. Turn-based combat, but with layers, type advantages, status effects like poison or paralysis, items to heal mid-fight. You'd face trainers on the road, each with themed teams, hikers with rock types, swimmers with water beasts, gym leaders guarded badges, testing your mastery. Lose, back to the Pokémon Center, Nurse Joy waiting with her gentle, "We only use the latest technology." It was forgiving yet challenging, pulling you in for just one more try. These mechanics weren't accidental. Game Freak playtested relentlessly, balancing so catching felt rewarding, training purposeful, battling tactical. Nintendo's support let them add multiplayer elements, link cables for 2-player fights or trades. You'd connect with a friend, swap a Venusaur for a rare Dratini, hearts racing at the possibility of dupes or scams. It fostered community before the internet did. But beneath the fun lurked complexity. The game taught patience, planning, even ethics. Do you release duplicates or hoard them? Tajiri infused his love for nature, making creatures feel alive, with backstories in the Pokédex. Bulbasaur as a seed Pokémon, evolving into the mighty Venusaur. By 1996, after years of iteration, Pokémon Red and Green launched in Japan on February 27th. The rollout was modest, no massive marketing blitz, just shelves in stores with the Game Boy's black cartridge. Priced affordably, it targeted kids, but word spread like wildfire. Schools buzzed with trades, kids huddled at recess, cables dangling, negotiating, "My Charizard egg for your Mewtwo?" Except there were no eggs yet, that came later. Red and Green featured the original 151, but to catch them all, you needed both versions. Missing exclusives like Ekans in one or Sandshrew in the other meant trading was essential. And trade they did. What started as innocent swaps exploded into an underground frenzy. Black market trades emerged in Tokyo arcades, kids pooling allowances for rare cards or even hacked games. Rumours swirled of mythical beasts like Mew, unobtainable without glitches or events. Parents worried. Sudden obsessions, playground fights over fair trades. Media picked up on it. Articles in Famitsu magazine detailed the hype, sales climbing past 1 million in months. Nintendo couldn't print cartridges fast enough. The frenzy peaked with Pokémon fever, lines at stores, scalpers hawking limited editions. You can picture it. A rainy afternoon in Kyoto, 2 boys linking Game Boys under an umbrella, the beep of a successful trade echoing like victory. But this launch wasn't without hiccups. Bugs plagued early copies, glitches freezing battles or duplicating items. Game Freak issued patches via Yellow later, but the raw energy endured. Internationally, whispers reached the West through imports, fueling bootleg curiosity. Tajiri watched from afar, thrilled yet overwhelmed. His bug-collecting dream had morphed into a cultural tidal wave, proving Nintendo's risk worthwhile. Sales hit 10 million in Japan alone by 1998, but the real win was the bonds it forged. Friends became rivals, families joined in. The Game Boy, a portal to shared adventures. Delve deeper into that trading underground, and you uncover the game's social genius. Without it, Pokémon might have fizzled as a solo RPG, but the necessity of exchange turned players into a network. In Osaka, clubs formed, kids meeting weekly to battle tournaments, prizes like official merch, stories abound. One boy traded his entire team for a single Abra, betting on its teleport evolution. Another smuggled cartridges across regions, sparking trade routes mimicking the game's paths. It mirrored real-world economies, teaching value and negotiation young. Nintendo capitalized, releasing guides and accessories, but the frenzy was organic, player-driven. Emotionally, it hit hard. For many, Red and Green was an escape. In post-bubble Japan, economic uncertainty loomed. Pokémon offered control, a world where effort yielded power. You'd train through the night, badge after badge, culminating in the Elite Four, a gauntlet of champions testing every mechanic. Victory? Pure euphoria, credits rolling with that iconic theme. Tajiri drew from his isolation, making the journey personal. Your rival, ever present, pushing you to improve. As the versions sold out, Nintendo eyed global expansion, but that's a tale for another path. What began as a prototype in a cramped Tokyo office had woven a tapestry of capture, growth, and combat, drawing you into its web. The underground trades, they were just the beginning, hinting at communities that would span generations. And now, as we trace this origin, you're about to step into the heart of it all. The regions, the quests, the timeless paths that defined your earliest adventures. Up next, Kanto's timeless journey awaits, where every route holds secrets that will make you yearn to lace up those virtual shoes once more. What hidden gems lie in those familiar towns? Stick around and let the nostalgia pull you deeper. But wait, let's linger a bit longer on those early days, because the birth of this world deserves every detail. Consider the design choices that made catching so addictive. Each Pokeball throw wasn't random. It factored health, status, ball type, even the creature's catch rate, hidden stats you'd discover through trial and error. Game Freak buried these in code, rewarding explorers. Training evolved too. Day-night cycles weren't in Red and Green, but move tutors and TMs added layers. Teach your Pikachu Thunderbolt early. Watch it shred gyms. Battling's depth shone in wild variety. Over 200 encounter spots, each with pools tailored to themes. Viridian Forest, Bug Heaven, perfect for early Butterfree. The launch frenzy extended to merchandise. Plushies of Pikachu flew off shelves, manga adaptations hit comics, an anime pilot aired months later. Kids dressed as trainers for school festivals, reciting types like spells. One anecdote stands out. In a Nagoya suburb, a group of friends formed a Poke League, rotating homes for official battles, complete with handmade badges. Their story, later shared in interviews, captured the magic. Pokémon wasn't played, it was lived. Nintendo's investment paid dividends beyond sales. It validated handheld RPGs, paving for future titles. But for you, listening now, it's personal. Maybe your first Game Boy was a hand-me-down, red cartridge borrowed from a cousin. The glow, the clicks, the world unfolding. That prototype's risk birthed it all. Mechanics that hooked you then and echo now. Yet the underground trading had shadows. Rare events Pokémon, distributed at stores, became status symbols, leading to playground barters that sometimes soured friendships. Glitches like the missing no in later versions stemmed from these early codes. But in Japan, It was the trade networks that shone. Bulletin boards in hobby shops, listing wants, fostering connections. Tajiri reflected in interviews. I wanted to share my collecting joy, and share it did, from quiet solo hunts to frenzied swaps. As red and green cemented its place, the world expanded, but Kanto's roots run deep. Picture the evolution of one mechanic, battling wilds for experience, chaining encounters to maximize drops. It built habits, turning play sessions into marathons. Emotional ties formed, naming your starter after a pet, mourning a feint in a tough fight. These weren't programmed. They emerged from the design's empathy. The launch's success surprised even Nintendo. By summer 1996, variants like Blue teased enhancements, but the core duo sparked it. Trading crossed borders via imports, Western kids decoding Japanese text, piecing together lore. In essence, this birth was a symphony of risk and innovation, mechanics that breathed life into pixels. You felt it, the pull of completion, the rush of victory. And as we close this chapter, know that the journey through Kanto's timeless paths beckons, promising rediscoveries that will whisk you back to those endless summer days. What awaits in the shadows of Viridian City? The answer lies just ahead, drawing you in like your first wild encounter. Kanto's timeless journey. In 1997, the world met Ash Ketchum, a 10-year-old boy from Pallet Town who overslept on the most important day of his life, rushing out the door without a single Pokémon to his name. That single moment launched an entire generation into the heart of Kanto, a region where every path feels like your own first adventure. You remember that rush, don't you? The way it captured the thrill of stepping into a world full of possibilities, where you too were just starting out as a trainer with nothing but dreams and a backpack. Ash's story begins in the quiet simplicity of Pallet Town, that sleepy little village nestled among rolling green hills and wildflower fields. It's the kind of place where everyone knows your name, where Professor Oak's lab stands as the gateway to everything bigger. When Ash bolts awake to find he's late for his starter Pokémon, you feel that pang of excitement mixed with panic. Professor Oak, with his kind eyes and white lab coat, hands him Pikachu not out of choice, but necessity, because the other starters, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, have already been claimed. That electric yellow mouse, grumpy at first, zapping Ash just for trying to be friends, sets the stage for something deeper. It's not just about catching them all, it's about that unbreakable bond forming right from the start, mirroring how you picked your first partner in the games, feeling that spark of loyalty ignite. As Ash stumbles out of Pallet Town, Pikachu perched on his shoulder. The world opens up in ways that pull you right along. Route 1 stretches ahead, a simple dirt path lined with patches of grass that rustle with hidden Pidgey and Rattata. You can almost hear the soft crunch underfoot, the way the sun filters through the trees, casting dappled shadows. Ash's first real battle comes quick, a wild Pidgey fluttering out, wings beating furiously. Pikachu, still warming up to this whole trainer thing, unleashes a thunder shock that lights up the screen, and in that instant, you see the mirror to your own early days. Remember fumbling through your first encounter in the game, heart pounding as you tossed your Pokeball, hoping it would stick. Ash's journey echoes that perfectly, turning pixels into emotions, making every step feel personal. Pallet Town isn't just a starting point, it's a symbol of home, the anchor you always return to in your mind. Oak's lab, with its rows of Pokeballs gleaming under fluorescent lights, holds the promise of growth. Ash visits often, checking in with his mum, Delia, who waves from the doorstep with a fresh sandwich and words of encouragement. "You've got this, Ash," she says, and you feel it too, that warmth of support pushing you forward. The town itself invites exploration, from the small houses with their flower boxes to the winding trail leading to Viridian City. It's here that the profound bond with your starter truly takes root. For Ash, Pikachu starts as a reluctant companion, but after that first night camping under the stars, sharing berries by a crackling fire, something shifts. Pikachu curls up close, ears twitching in the breeze, and you realise this isn't ownership, it's partnership. That same connection hits you when your starter levels up for the first time, or when it evolves in a blaze of light, eyes meeting yours across the screen. Venturing deeper into Kanto, the landscape unfolds like a living map you know by heart. Viridian City greets you with its bustling gym, but Ash is too green to challenge it yet. Instead, he wanders the forests, where the air hums with the calls of Oddish and Bellsprout. Team Rocket makes their debut here. Jesse and James with their ridiculous motto, blasting off in a twinkle of stars. You laugh at the memory, but it adds that layer of stakes. Suddenly the world isn't all friendly wild encounters. Ash and Pikachu face their first real teamwork test against those bumbling villains, Pikachu's quick attack saving the day. It's a payoff that builds on the bond, showing how necessity forges trust. You were there in your playthrough, dodging trainers on Route 2, your starter growing stronger with every victory, every narrow escape. As the journey presses on, Pewter City looms with its rocky terrain and the imposing Pewter Gym. Brock, the gym leader with his steady gaze and rock-solid Pokémon, becomes Ash's first real rival. The battle is intense, Onix coiling like a mountain come alive, Pikachu dodging boulders that crash and shatter. Ash loses at first, but that defeat stings in the best way, mirroring your own early gym wipeouts. You reload the save, adjust your strategy, and come back fiercer. It's that cycle of trial and growth that defines Kanto's timeless pull. Pallet Town feels worlds away now, but the bond with Pikachu keeps Ash grounded, just like your starter carried you through those tough spots. The road to Cerulean City winds through Mount Moon, a cavernous maze echoing with the drip of water and the skitter of Zubat wings. Ash presses on, flashlight beam cutting through the dark, Pikachu's cheeks sparking nervously. Here, fossils come into play, old amber or dome fossil, choices that echo the game's branching paths. You picked one, didn't you? Reviving it later at the lab, watching it hatch into a prehistoric ally. These moments layer nostalgia, reminding you how Kanto rewarded curiosity, how exploring every nook uncovered secrets that made the world feel vast. Misty joins the crew in Cerulean, her Staryu whipping up waves in the gym battle. Ash's team is still small, but the profound connection with Pikachu shines through. Refusing to evolve at that point on the bridge, choosing loyalty over power. You felt that choice too, deciding whether to let your starter hold onto its form a bit longer. It's these bonds that elevate Kanto beyond battles. They're the heartstrings pulling you back even years later. Vermilion City brings Latent Surge, the electric-type master, and Ash's victory there feels electric itself. Pikachu versus Raichu, a mirror match that tests limits. Surge's Raichu, evolved and overconfident, underestimates the wild spirit of Pikachu. Thunderbolt clashes, sparks fly, and in the end, friendship triumphs. You cheered then, just as you do now, recalling your own surge through that gym, badge in hand, one step closer to the league. The SS Anne sets sail next, a luxurious liner where Ash battles rich kids and learns about trading, but sickness hits and he ends up in the hospital, only for Team Rocket to strike again. Pikachu's rescue, zapping through the chaos, reinforces that bond, unwavering, profound, the kind that starts in Pallet Town's innocence and endures every trial. Fuchsia City waits with its safari zone, where you hurl bait and rocks at elusive Pokémon like Kangaskhan or Dratini. Ash's escapades there are pure fun, mud splattering his cap, Pikachu bouncing through tall grass. It's exploration at its peak, Kanto revealing its wild side, untamed and full of surprises. Gym challenges keep mounting tension, each one a step toward the elusive champion. Brock's rocks, Misty's waters, Surge's lightning, they build like a crescendo. But who sits at the top? Rumours swirl in every town, a shadowy figure, undefeated, identity hidden behind the league's veil. Ash presses on to Celadon City, Erica's grass types weaving vines that ensnare, forcing clever tactics. Your starter, by now a trusted veteran, cuts through with fire or water, badge after badge, stacking up. Saffron City ups the ante with Sabrina's psychic prowess, teleporting tricks that twist reality. Ash outsmarts her with sheer will. Pikachu's speed breaking the illusion. But the champion? Whispers point to a recluse in the Viridian Gym, a final hurdle shrouded in mystery. Kanto's paths converge there, 8 badges gleaming, the league calling. Through it all, Pallet Town's spirit lingers, the simple joy of that first bond, Ash waking to destiny, you booting up the game for the umpteenth time. It's timeless because it captures beginnings, those pure moments before the world complicates everything. And as we trace these trails, you start to see how it all hinges on that very first choice, the starter that defined your path. Up next, in Starters That Shaped Us, we'll dive into those iconic picks, Bulbasaur's resilience, Charmander's fiery heart, Squirtle's cool defense, and uncover why they weren't just Pokémon, but the soul of every journey. What if your starter held secrets that changed Kanto forever? Stick around, you won't want to miss it. Starters That Shaped Us. Did you know that in the world of Pokémon, your very first choice of starter wasn't just a game mechanic? It was the spark that ignited a lifelong bond, shaping how you saw friendship, growth, and even betrayal. Those 3 little creatures from Pallet Town, Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. They weren't random picks. They were mirrors to our own journeys, teaching us lessons that stuck long after the credits rolled. Let's start with Bulbasaur, that unassuming green bulb on 4 sturdy legs, always ready, with a vine whip or a sleepy yawn. You remember the moment, don't you? Professor Oak hands you this Pokémon, and it's like holding a promise of steady progress. Bulbasaur evolves so gently, almost like nature itself unfolding. From Ivysaur with its budding flower starting to bloom, to Venusaur, that massive guardian with a flower on its back that's more ancient forest than beast. It's not about flashy power-ups or dramatic flares, it's a quiet transformation. Think about how Bulbasaur's poison powder and sleep powder kept you safe in those early Viridian Forest battles, lulling wild Pokémon into submission while you snuck by. But deeper than that, Bulbasaur taught you patience. In the games, grinding levels felt rewarding because this little guy absorbed sunlight, grew stronger without forcing it. You leveled up alongside it, feeling that same organic push towards something greater. And oh, the lore behind it. In the anime, Bulbasaur's story hits different. There's that episode where Ash's Bulbasaur refuses to evolve, choosing to stay true to its roots, guarding the hidden village with a fierceness that belies its calm exterior. It's like Bulbasaur knew the weight of being an ancient guardian before it even sprouted fully. You felt that, right? The way it stood firm against the wild Pokémon, vines wrapping around threats like old roots holding the earth. That evolution line whispers of endurance, of becoming a protector, not through rage but through quiet strength. Venusaur in the stadium battles, soaking up solar beams to unleash devastation. It's the Pokémon that shaped how you valued resilience. How many times did you pick Bulbasaur because it felt safe, reliable, like a friend who never lets you down? It moulded your playstyle, turning you into a strategist who planned ahead, who saw the long game in every encounter. Bulbasaur didn't just evolve, it evolved you from a wide-eyed trainer to someone who understood that true power bloomed slowly, petal by petal. But if Bulbasaur was the steady heartbeat, Charmander brought the fire, the raw, unpredictable passion that could warm you or burn everything down. Picture this, that tiny lizard with its flickering tail flame, abandoned on a rainy rock in the anime's early days. You chose Charmander because it looked vulnerable, right? That flame so delicate, one wrong move and it could snuff out. Yet from the start it was all about trials by fire. Charmeleon, with its sharper claws and hotter temper, pushed you through rocky caves and intense rival fights. Remember battling Brock's Onyx? Charmander's ember shots barely scratched, but you kept going, feeling that burn in your chest mirroring the Pokemon's own struggle. The evolution to Charizard, though, that's where the real shaping happens. Wings unfurling, breath like a dragon's roar, it became the icon of power. But here's the twist that scarred us all. The betrayal. In the anime, after all those fiery trials, saving Ash from Team Rocket, enduring the Charisific Valley training, Charizard straight up refuses to battle during the Indigo League. You watched it fly off, perched on a rock, arms crossed, like it had outgrown the very trainer who raised it. That moment hit like a thunderbolt. How could it? After the sacrifices, the loyalty tests, the way Charmander's tail flame had been your beacon through dark nights in the game, it forced you to question everything. Was power worth the cost of connection? Charizard's disobedience wasn't just a plot point, it was a gut punch, shaping how you approached every Pokémon afterward. You started doubting evolutions, wondering if pushing too hard would break the bond. Yet that fiery trial led to redemption later, with Charizard returning stronger, but the twist lingered. It taught you that even the hottest flames can flicker with independence, turning your nostalgia for Charmander into a bittersweet blaze. You picked it for the thrill, but it shaped you into someone who learned to respect a Pokemon's own fire, not just harness it. Shifting from flames to waves, Squirtle dives into a whole different rhythm, one of hidden depths and unyielding loyalty that pulls you under and lifts you back up. You chose Squirtle for its cool shell, that water gun spraying like a kid's first super soaker, but it was so much more. From the watery roots of Kanto, where it blasted away foes with bubble after bubble, Squirtle uncovered adventures you never expected. Wartortle, with its curly tail and ninja-like agility, slipped through Cerulean Cave's mysteries, revealing secrets in the undercurrents. And Blastoise, that cannon-armed behemoth, became your fortress, hydro pumps tearing through gyms like a tidal wave. The aquatic tales, though, they're what truly shaped us. In the anime, Squirtle's squad of sunglasses-wearing rebels, led by Ash's own, turned every episode into a splashy heist. They uncovered loyalties deeper than the ocean floor, fighting poachers and saving the day with synchronized water blasts. Remember how Squirtle started as a street tough, but evolved into a hero who stuck by his trainer through floods and foes? It was those hidden depths that got you. The way Squirtle's shell hid not just defense, but a heart that swam against the current for friends. You felt that loyalty in the games too, when Squirtle's withdrawal let you turtle up in tough spots, buying time to strategize. It shaped your battles into fluid dances, adapting to every surge. But beyond mechanics, Squirtle taught you about uncovering what's beneath the surface. That playful spray hid a profound commitment, much like how your own Pokémon journeys revealed layers of emotion you didn't know you had. How many late nights did you spend evolving it, only to realize Squirtle mirrored your own dive into loyalty, surfacing stronger each time? These starters, they weren't just the beginning of your Pokédex, they were the architects of your nostalgia. Bulbasaur's gentle path showed you growth's quiet beauty, rooting you in patience. Charmander's Inferno forged your understanding of passion's double edge, that betrayal twist etching caution into your heart. Squirtle's Depths pulled out your sense of unwavering allegiance, wave by wave. Together, they defined the trainer you became. Resilient, fiery, devoted. You can still hear the cries, Bulbasaur's contented rumble, Charizard's defiant roar, Blastoise's booming splash. They shaped us because they echoed our own evolutions, from kids fumbling with a Game Boy to adults chasing that same wonder. Take Bulbasaur deeper for a second. In the manga, its role as an ancient guardian shines even brighter. There's this arc where a Venusaur protects an entire ecosystem, its razor leaf slicing through invaders while healing the land with a aromatherapy. You read that and felt the weight, didn't you? It wasn't about dominating, it was stewardship. That gentle evolution from seed, Bulbasaur starting as this pod of potential, absorbing nutrients to become Ivysaur's sturdy form. Then Venusaur's towering presence mirrored real-life growth. You leveled it up in Viridian, feeling each experience point like sunlight feeding the bulb. And in trades or battles with friends, Bulbasaur's leech seed drained opponents slowly. Teaching you the art of persistence, it shaped your strategy. Why rush when you can outlast? That guardian vibe stuck, making you protective of your whole team, seeing every Pokémon as part of a larger garden. Charmander's trials pull at different strings. The rainy abandonment scene, it broke hearts worldwide. You chose it because that flame needed you, and through fiery ordeals, like the endless flame wheel spins in training, it grew. Charmeleon's aggression in the anime, headbutting rocks until they cracked, showed the cost of that power. But Charizard's twist, when it ignored Ash against Blaine's Magmar, you paused the episode, stunned. Betrayal from your ace? It forced reflection. Had you pushed too hard? In the games, Mega Evolving Charizard later added layers, but that initial disobedience lingered, shaping how you built teams, balancing power with trust. You started favouring moves like Dragon Dance, building sustainably, learning from the Flame's lessons. That iconic moment turned Charmander from underdog to legend, scorching your memory forever. Squirtle's adventures? Pure underwater intrigue. The Squirtle Squad episodes had you laughing and cheering, their loyalty flipping from mischief to heroism in a heartbeat. Ash's Squirtle, evolving to Wartortle during the Orange Islands, uncovered depths of friendship amid shipwrecks and sea battles. Blastoise's Skull Bash in the league, unstoppable. It shaped your water-type love, from surfing across Kanto's seas to skull bashing through Elite Four walls. Those hidden loyalties, Squirtle sticking by the squad even when caught, mirrored your own bonds with friends, diving into troubles together. You felt the pull, the way its water pulse cleansed and conquered, revealing that loyalty isn't loud, it's the current that carries you through. Expanding on this, remember how these starters influenced fan art, theories, even real-world inspirations. Bulbasaur's design draws from frog and plant myths, ancient guardians in folklore like the World Tree's protectors. You dove into that as a kid, sketching your own evolutions. Charmander's fire trials echo dragon legends, that betrayal twist sparking debates on free will in Pokémon. Squirtle's aquatic loyalty, turtle symbolism in cultures, enduring the depths. They shaped communities too. Online forums buzzing with "Who's your starter?" polls, each story weaving personal tales. But it's the emotional core that endures. Bulbasaur's gentleness, soothed after tough days, a reminder that growth happens in the shade sometimes. Charmander's fire ignited dreams, even if the twist taught humility. Squirtle's waves washed away doubts, affirming loyalty's strength. You chose them, but they chose you back, evolving your heart along the way. As we wrap this chapter on the starters that shaped us, you might wonder about the rivals who tested those bonds, pushing them to redemption in ways you never saw coming. Up next, in Rivals and Redemption, we'll explore those intense showdowns and heartfelt turnarounds that redefined loyalty. Stick around, because what happens when fire meets ice in the unlikeliest alliances will leave you rethinking every badge earned. Rivals and Redemption. Did you know that in the original Pokémon anime, Gary Oak wasn't just Ash's rival? He was the spark that ignited Ash's entire journey, turning every badge quest into a personal vendetta. That's the fire of rivalry we're diving into today, where smug taunts and relentless competition push our heroes right to the edge, forcing them to grow or crumble. Let's rewind to those early days in Pallet Town, where you first meet Gary, grandson of Professor Oak, strutting around like he owns the world. He's got that flashy sports car, a squad of cheerleaders chanting his name, and a starter Pokémon that's already eyeing up the competition. Ash, fresh-faced and fumbling with his own Pikachu, gets hit with Gary's first barb. Smell you later! It's not just words, it's a challenge that echoes through every gym battle and league attempt. You can almost hear the frustration building in Ash's voice as Gary laps him, collecting badges while Ash is still figuring out how to befriend his electric mouse. But here's what makes it sting so deep. Gary's smugness isn't empty. He's talented, driven, and he knows it, which only amps up the pressure on Ash to prove himself. Rivalry unfolding across the Kanto region. Every time Ash steps into a gym, there's Gary's shadow looming, badges gleaming on his jacket like trophies from a war Ash hasn't even joined yet. In the anime's second episode, Gary's already 3 badges ahead, mocking Ash for being late to the party. It's moments like these that push Ash to his limits, making him train harder, battle smarter, and question if he's cut out for this trainer life at all. You feel that push, don't you? That nagging doubt when your own goals seem miles away, but someone else's success is right in your face. Gary's not content with winning. He has to rub it in, calling Ash a loser after a close call in Viridian City. It's brutal, but it's exactly what forces Ash to evolve, turning raw determination into unbreakable resolve. As the journey wears on, this rivalry seeps into every corner of Ash's world. Remember the Indigo League? Gary's there, cool as ever, with his cheer squad and that infuriating smirk, while Ash is scraping by on sheer grit. Gary's Arcanine versus Ash's Charizard is not just a battle, it's a showdown of egos where Gary's confidence nearly breaks Ash before the first move. But push comes to shove, and Ash digs deep, pulling out a win that silences the taunts, if only for a moment. Yet Gary doesn't quit. He doubles down, entering the Orange League with the same arrogance, goading Ash into chasing him across islands. It's this constant prod that elevates Ash from a kid with a dream to a trainer who commands respect. Without Gary's smug rivalry, would Ash have pushed so hard? Probably not. It's the thorn that makes the rose bloom. Now, let's shift gears to how this rivalry collides with bigger threats, like those meddlesome Team Rocket goons who keep blasting off in spectacular fashion. But hold on, things get unexpected when alliances form in the heat of the moment. You're cruising through the anime's episodes, expecting the usual Pikachu Thunderbolt to send Jessie, James, and Meowth packing. Then comes that pivotal encounter in the Pokémon League saga, where Team Rocket's scheme to steal rare Pokémon pulls in rivals from all sides. Gary, ever the opportunist, spots Ash in the fray, and for once that smirk fades. They're cornered by a horde of electrified Voltorb, courtesy of Giovanni's latest plot, and suddenly Gary's throwing out his Eevee to cover Ash's flank. Don't get the wrong idea, Gary mutters, but you know it's more than that. It's the first crack in his armour, an alliance born of necessity that hints at respect buried under all that bravado. These unexpected team-ups don't stop there. Fast forward to the Johto region, where Gary's pursuing his own path as a researcher, but old habits die hard. During a massive Team Rocket invasion at the Lake of Rage, Red Gyarados thrashing everything in sight, Ash and Gary cross paths again. Team Rocket's capturing trainers left and right, and Gary's Nidoking is the only thing standing between them and a watery grave. He nods to Ash a silent, "Let's do this," and together they coordinate attacks. Gary's precision strikes syncing with Ash's chaotic energy. It's electric, isn't it? That moment when enemies become allies, turning a rivalry into something almost friendly. You start to see Gary not as the villain, but as the push Ash needed. And now, in Crisis, he's the backup you didn't expect. Dig deeper into the games, and this dynamic shines even brighter. In Pokémon Red and Blue, your rival, Blue, Gary's game counterpart, is a constant thorn, challenging you after every badge. His team always one step ahead. He's smug, calling you out for being slow, but those battles, they hone your skills, push you to optimize every move. Then in the post-game Elite Four rematch, something shifts. Team Rocket's resurfacing in the Sivai Islands, and your rival joins the fray unbidden, his Alakazam blasting through grunts while you handle the heavies. It's an alliance you didn't see coming, forged in the chaos of Sylph Co infiltrations and radio tower takeovers. In Gold and Silver, it's the same. Vibe, your rival's grown, but when Team Rocket stirs up trouble in Mahogany Town, he's there, shoulder to shoulder, trading strategies mid-battle. These pivotal encounters reveal layers. Gary's not just competing, he's invested in the world's balance, stepping up when it counts. But what really tugs at the heartstrings is Gary's growth arc. That slow burn from smug kid to reflective mentor. You watch it unfold across seasons, his taunts softening as Ash catches up. By the Advanced Generation era, Gary's ditched the cheerleaders for lab coats, researching alongside his grandpa. Still, he can't resist a jab during their Sinnoh reunion, but it's laced with genuine advice now. Don't screw this up like last time. It's progress, subtle but real. Then comes the pinnacle, that heartfelt post-game revelation in the anime's later arcs. After Ash's World Coronation series run, Gary shows up unannounced, no entourage, just him and Umbreon. They talk under the stars in Pallet Town, Gary admitting, "I pushed you because I had to push myself. You made me better, Ash. Made me see there's more to this than winning." It's raw, vulnerable, the smug rival laying it all bare. You feel the weight of it, that redemption arc closing the circle, turning rivalry into brotherhood. Think about how this mirrors your own life, doesn't it? That friend or colleague who always one-ups you, but secretly drives you to excel. In Pokémon, Gary embodies that. His limits-testing rivalry isn't about tearing down, it's about building up. Without him, Ash's story lacks edge, lacks that fire. And those Team Rocket clashes, they strip away the pretense, forcing alliances that redefine everything. Gary's not the antagonist anymore, he's the catalyst. As we wrap this chapter on rivals and redemption, you can sense the journey evolving from personal battles to something grander. Up next in Chapter 6, Legends of Kanto, we'll uncover the mythic tales that shape the region's soul, secrets of ancient guardians, and forgotten prophecies that will leave you wondering just how deep the Pokémon lore really goes. Stick around, you won't want to miss the revelations waiting there. Now let's linger a bit more on those early rivalry moments, because they're the foundation of it all. Back in episode 15, Battle aboard the St. Anne, Gary's already lording his 4 badges over Ash's 0. But when the ship tilts and Team Rocket nets everyone, guess who's coordinating the escape with Ash? It's a blink and you miss it alliance. Gary's Blastwise blasting holes, while Ash's Bulbasaur vines them to safety. No thanks exchanged, just a grudging nod, but it plants the seed. You replay it in your mind, that tension between competition and camaraderie. Fast forward to the World Cup in Johto, where Gary enters incognito, testing Ash underwater without the usual flair. Team Rocket interrupts with their submarine scheme, sucking up rare water Pokémon, and there they are again. Gary's Kingdra syncing with Ash's Totodile for a counterattack. Teamwork makes the dream work, Gary quips, half joking, but it's the closest he's come to admitting Ash's influence. These encounters pile up, each one chipping at his smug facade, showing a rival who's learning to value more than victory. In the game's Heart Gold and Soul Silver remakes, it's even more poignant. Your rival, now Silver in some arcs but echoing Gary's spirit, starts as a thief with a chip on his shoulder, pushing you through ruthless battles. But after the Team Rocket radio takeover, he confesses his family's dark ties to Giovanni, allying with you to dismantle the operation. It's redemption in pixels, that post-battle talk where he says, "I was wrong to hate everything. You showed me strength isn't just power." Heartfelt, right? It hits like Gary's anime confession, a growth arc that redeems the rivalry. And don't get me started on the manga adaptations, like Pokémon Adventures. Gary's fiercer there, a tactical genius whose strategies force Red to innovate. During the Team Rocket War in Saffron City, they unite against Mewtwo's prototype, Gary's scheming mind complementing Red's intuition. It's alliance at its finest, pivotal and unexpected, culminating in Gary's vow to protect the region as a guardian, not a glory seeker. These stories weave together, don't they? Gary's smugness starts as a barrier, but through limits pushed and alliances forged, it becomes a bridge. You feel the nostalgia wash over you, those late-night episodes where rivalry turns to respect. It's what makes Pokémon endure. Characters who grow, rivals who redeem. To really drive it home, consider the Sinnoh League clash. Gary's there as a spectator, but when Team Rocket crashes the party with a Pokémon stealing ray, he's first in line, his Electivire charging alongside Pikachu. No words needed, the alliance speaks volumes. Post-battle, Gary pulls Ash aside. "You're not half bad, keep it up." It's the start of his arc's endgame. By the time we hit the Unova series cameos, Gary's fully transformed, advising on breeding and evolutions with zero smugness. That post-game revelation? It's in a quiet episode filler, but it packs a punch. Gary crediting Ash for his path to research, admitting the rivalry was his greatest teacher. Tears? Maybe not on screen, but in your heart, replaying those journeys. This redemption isn't rushed. It's earned through every taunt, every battle, every unexpected save. Gary Oak teaches us that rivals aren't foes. They're mirrors, reflecting our potential. And as we push toward those legendary horizons, you'll see how these personal tales tie into the epic myths ahead. Wait, one more layer. In the Pokémon Origins anime, Blue's rivalry is distilled to its essence. Smug starts, alliance in the end against Team Rocket's Viridian Gym Assault. He hands over the Earth Badge, not as charity, but as equals. It's pure, unfiltered growth. You carry these moments with you, don't you? The way Gary's voice cracks just a bit in that final talk, revealing the boy behind the bravado. It's redemption that resonates, long after the credits roll. And with that, we're primed for the legends that birthed it all. Legends of Kanto, in the heart of Kanto, where the first Pokémon adventures unfolded on those grainy Game Boy screens. The legends aren't just myths, they're the raw forces that shape the entire region, born from nature's fury and humanity's reckless dreams. You remember the thrill of encountering them in the games, right? Those towering figures that made your starter Pokémon feel so small. But let's dig deeper into what makes Kanto's legends tick, starting with the one that hit closest to home for any trainer who's ever questioned the line between creation and destruction. Mewtwo wasn't born in the wild like the others. No, this psychic powerhouse emerged from a lab, a twisted triumph of human ingenuity gone horribly wrong. Picture scientists in a hidden facility, fueled by ambition to play God with Pokémon DNA. They started with Mew, that elusive pink sprite we'd hear whispers about. But Mewtwo was their masterpiece, or so they thought. Cloned in secret, amplified with genetic tweaks to make it stronger, faster, more intelligent than any natural Pokémon. But ambition like that, it always comes with a price. The cloning process didn't just replicate life, it unleashed something primal, a catastrophe that shattered the lab and left a trail of devastation. You can almost hear the alarms blaring in your mind, the crackle of psychic energy ripping through concrete walls. Mewtwo's awakening wasn't a gentle emergence. It was a rebellion against its creators, a being born to question its very existence. Why did they do it? To push the boundaries of science, to control the uncontrollable. And in the games, when you finally face Mewtwo in that eerie cave, it's not just a battle, it's a confrontation with what happens when humans meddle too deeply in nature's code. That story stuck with so many of us because it mirrored our own curiosities. What if we could rewrite the rules? But Mewtwo reminds you, every time, that some creations are better left undreamt. From that man-made storm, Kanto's legends shift to the ancient guardians, the ones that predate trainers and Pokeballs altogether. High in the Seafoam Islands, where the chill bites through even the sturdiest coat, Articuno holds court in a frozen lair that's as beautiful as it is unforgiving. This ice-type bird with wings like shimmering glaciers isn't just a pretty face in the Pokédex, it's the sentinel of winter's secrets. Legends say Articuno guards relics from a time when the world was locked in eternal frost, artifacts that whisper of forgotten civilizations who tamed the cold before fire was even a spark. You venture there in the games, navigating dripping caves and howling winds, and when Articuno appears, it's like the air itself solidifies. Its cry echoes like cracking ice, a warning to those who seek too much. But what secrets does it protect? Whispers of balance, of how ice tempers the heat of ambition, much like Mewtwo's cold rage. Trainers who've chased it tell stories, not in the official lore, but in those late-night forums we all lurked on, of how Articuno's presence calms raging storms at sea, a natural force intervening when humanity's folly threatens the coast. It's that duality that draws you in, majestic yet merciless, a legend that makes you respect the wild unknown. Then there's Zapdos, crackling with electricity in the power plant ruins on the outskirts of the city. If Articuno is the quiet guardian of the deep freeze, Zapdos is the wild spark that lights up the night, perched in a lair humming with raw voltage. This electric bird doesn't just generate storms, it embodies them. Feathers flickering like live wires, eyes glowing with the fury of a thunderstorm. The ancient secrets it guards, they're tied to the very energy that pulses through Kanto's veins. Relics from an era when lightning was worshipped as divine power, before gyms and badges tamed it into battles. You remember sliding down those chutes in the game, the air thick with ozone, heart pounding as sparks dance around you. Zapdos's domain isn't for the faint-hearted, it's a testament to chaos harnessed or barely contained. Folklore among old trainers speaks of Zapdos awakening during blackouts, its wings summoning gales that recharge the land itself. But push too far, and that energy turns destructive, mirroring how unchecked ambition, like the scientists who birthed Mewtwo, can electrify progress into peril. What if Zapdos's secrets hold the key to unlimited power? That's the pull, the electric thrill that keeps you listening, wondering if we'd ever dare to claim it. And no discussion of Kanto's trio leaves out Moltres, the fiery phoenix soaring from the depths of Victory Road. Its lair, a volcanic inferno that tests every ounce of your resolve. Unlike its icy and electric kin, Moltres burns with an inner flame, wings trailing embers that could ignite the world. It guards the secrets of rebirth and destruction, ancient tomes or crystals said to pulse with the heat of creation, hidden in magma chambers where the earth itself breathes fire. In the games, you climb those treacherous paths, sweat beading as the heat intensifies, and when Moltres erupts, it's a blaze of glory that demands respect. Its cry, a roar that shakes the mountains, echoing the primal force of renewal. Legends tie it to cycles of life, how fire clears the way for new growth, much like how Mewtwo's catastrophe forced a reckoning with human overreach. Trainers share tales of Moltres appearing during wildfires, its presence turning devastation into fertile ash, a guardian that both destroys and heals. You feel that heat in your chest, don't you? The warmth of nostalgia mixed with the danger of what lies untamed. These three, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, aren't random encounters. They're the pillars of Kanto's wild heart, each layer a vault of mysteries that hint at a world far older than Professor Oak's lab. But woven through all these legends is a shadow, a presence that's always just out of reach. Mew. You know the one, the mythical Pokémon that's more ghost than guardian, flitting through the genes of every creature in the region. Mew's elusive nature isn't accidental. It's the thread that ties Kanto's legends together, hinting at the deepest genetic mysteries that even Mewtwo's creators couldn't fully unravel. While Mewtwo was cloned from Mew's DNA, the original remains a phantom, sighted in jungles or ruins but never captured, a symbol of pure, unaltered potential. What does Mew guard? The blueprint of life itself, the secrets of evolution that pulse in every Pokémon you train. In the games, those rumours of Mew in the Safari Zone or hidden events, they tease you with possibility, making every wild encounter feel like it could reveal something profound. Imagine Mew watching from the treetops as you battle Articuno's chill or Zapdos's storm, unseen but influencing the very fabric of the world. Its presence raises questions that linger. If Mew is the ancestor, what does that make Mewtwo? A flawed echo or the next step? These genetic enigmas pull at you, stirring that childlike wonder from your first playthroughs, where every legend felt like a puzzle piece in a grander design. Let's pause on Mewtwo for a moment longer, because its story deserves the spotlight it commands. Those scientists, driven by dreams of immortality through Pokémon power, didn't anticipate the sentience they'd ignite. Mewtwo's first moments weren't of wonder, but isolation, tubes and monitors, voices debating its potential like a specimen. When it broke free, the catastrophe wasn't just physical, it was existential. Psychic blasts leveled the facility, but the real damage was in the questions it left behind. Who am I? Why was I made? In the anime, we saw it grapple with that rage, seeking purpose beyond revenge. For you as a listener drifting through this nostalgia, it's a reminder of Kanto's core tension. Humanity's drive to conquer versus the wild's unyielding mystery. And tying back to the birds, Mewtwo's artificial storm contrasts their natural ones, like a synthetic blizzard against Articuno's eternal winter. Each legend challenges you to think bigger, to feel the weight of creation in your own hands. Whether you're tossing a Pokeball or just reminiscing, Now expand on those layers because they're more than backdrops. They're characters in their own right. Articuno's frozen domain in seafoam isn't just cold, it's a labyrinth of echoing drips and shifting ice flows where the air whispers warnings to intruders. Ancient secrets there might include frozen fossils of prehistoric birds, hinting at evolutions long lost. You push through, badge in hand, but the real test is humility. Will you capture or simply witness? Zapdos's power. Plant overgrown with vines and buzzing with feral electricity, feels alive, like the building itself resents human intrusion. Its guarded lore, perhaps blueprints from a thunder god's age, energies that could power cities or unravel them. And Moltres in Victory Road's depths, where lava bubbles and shadows dance. It's the ultimate trial, secrets of fiery rebirth that symbolise the trainer's journey to the League. These places pull you in, make you sweat or shiver through the screen, embedding Kanto's legends in your memory. Mew's role amplifies it all, that genetic whisper suggesting every legend shares its DNA. Articuno's grace, Zapdos's spark, Moltres' blaze, they're expressions of Mew's boundless adaptability. Mewtwo, the catastrophe clone, twists that into tragedy, a warning that tampering with those mysteries invites doom. You feel it, don't you? That surge of curiosity, the what if that kept us up late trading tips or theorising on BBS forums. Kanto's legends aren't isolated tales, they're interconnected, a web of ambition, guardianship, and enigma that defines the region's soul. As we wrap this chapter on Kanto's timeless legends, you can sense the journey evolving, pulling us toward new horizons. Up next, Johto's golden return awaits, where the echoes of Kanto's mysteries bloom into a region of rediscovery and hidden legacies. Get ready to uncover what golden secrets lie in wait. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, I'm curious, Webby, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let our global community know. And if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button to help more people discover this story. Johto's golden return. In 1999, Pokémon Gold and Silver burst onto the scene as the first true sequel in the franchise, taking you from the familiar shores of Kanto to the uncharted lands of Johto, a region that felt like stepping into a golden era of adventure all over again. You remember that thrill, don't you? The way the game promised not just new Pokémon, but a whole new world layered with secrets that echoed the past while pulling you forward into something fresh and alive. Johto wasn't just another map on your Game Boy screen. It was a place designed to make you feel the weight of history. From the moment you set foot in New Barktown, with its quiet professor's lab and the gentle waves lapping at the coast, you sensed that this journey was different. It built on everything you loved about Red and Blue, but twisted it into a tale of renewal. Your rival, that cocky kid with the spiky hair, wasn't just a pest this time. He was a mirror to your own growth, challenging you across seasons that changed the very rhythm of the game. But here's what made Johto's return so golden. It wove time itself into the fabric of the story. Think about it. After conquering the Elite Four and stepping back into Kanto as a champion, the game didn't end. No, it opened a portal to the past, literally. In the remakes Heart Gold and Soul Silver, this twist became even more profound. You see, the legendary Pokémon Celebi doesn't just guard the forests, it bends time, whisking you back 3 years to relive key moments from the original games. Imagine chasing down the villainous Team Rocket in slow burn infiltrations, but now you're not just fighting for badges. You're mending the timeline, connecting the dots between the boy you once were in Kanto and the trainer you've become in Johto. It's like the game is whispering to you, remember where you started, Now go fix what time broke. This time travel element wasn't thrown in for shock value. It was a clever bridge that made Johto feel timeless. You revisit places like the burned-out tower in Ecruteak City, where the past haunts the present through ghostly whispers and spectral encounters. The Ho-Oh and Lugia legends, those majestic birds soaring over the seas, tie into ancient myths of rebirth and protection, pulling you into a narrative where every choice ripples across eras. What if that one decision in the past altered the alliances you face now? It kept you up late, controller in hand, unraveling how gold and silver weren't sequels. They were echoes, resonating with the nostalgia of catching your first Pikachu while forging a path that felt eternally new. And speaking of those legends, Johto's Pokémon roster drew straight from the well of folklore, infusing the region with a mystical aura that made every capture feel like uncovering a hidden tale from Japan's ancient stories. Take Celebi, for instance, the Forest Guardian, a tiny, ethereal sprite with powers over time and nature. Inspired by the yokai of old Japanese lore, those mischievous spirits that dance through the woods, Celebi embodies the idea of fleeting moments preserved in green eternity. You couldn't just stumble upon it. No, you had to earn its trust through side quests that delved into Johto's lore, like the Ilex Forest Shrine, where time seems to pause, leaves rustling as if whispering secrets from centuries ago. Then there are the others, like the Unknown, those enigmatic letters floating in the ruins of Alph, pulling from tales of forgotten alphabets and puzzle spirits that guarded knowledge. Or Xatu, the prophetic bird with eyes that pierce the veil of future and past, reminiscent of shamanistic visions in indigenous myths. Even everyday Pokémon, like Sentret, the scouting ferret, nod to the clever kitsune foxes of folklore, always one step ahead, popping up in the tall grass to test your reflexes. Johto didn't just give you beasts to battle, it handed you pieces of cultural heritage, wrapped in pixelated charm. Remember grinding for that shiny Celebi event? It wasn't about rarity, it was about feeling like you tapped into something sacred, a connection to the world's hidden rhythms that made the grind worthwhile. But Johto's magic didn't stop at myths. It evolved with the world around you, literally. For the first time, the day-night cycle turned the region into a living, breathing entity, where the sun's arc dictated what you encountered and how the story unfolded. Dawn breaks over Route 29, and you're swarmed by casual hoothoots perching on branches, their wide eyes blinking in the early light. As twilight creeps in, the map shifts. Rare nocturnal Pokémon, like Murkrow, slink out from the shadows, their calls echoing like omens from the folklore tales. You had to plan your travels around this, didn't you? Venturing out at dusk for that elusive Espion evolution from Eevee, watching the stone glow under the moon's pull, or timing your gym battles to catch a trainer who's only around after dark. This cycle introduced dynamics that made Johto feel dynamic, unpredictable, like a world that didn't wait for you. In the bustling markets of Goldenrod City, the department store's lights flicker on as evening falls, unlocking new items and conversations that vanished with the sunrise. Rare encounters became treasures. Stumble upon a Stantler in the misty roots at midnight, its antlers branching like ancient tree spirits from the lore, or face off against a herd of Tauros thundering across the plains only under the cover of night. It wasn't just gameplay, it was immersion. You felt the passage of time in your bones, the way a long day of training faded into starlit campsites where your Pokémon rested, evolving not just in stats but in the narrative of your shared journey. Picture pushing through the foggy bell tower at the witching hour, the air thick with the cries of legendary beasts awakened only then. The day-night system forced you to adapt, turning routine routes into adventures laced with surprise. Why did that growlithe only appear at noon, its fiery mane catching the sun like a phoenix from a Johto's rebirth myths? Or how about the seasonal shifts in the remakes, where winter blankets the land, freezing over ponds and altering paths, connecting back to that time travel twist by mirroring the past's harsher eras? It all tied together, making you question, what other secrets does the clock hold? You invested hours syncing your real-life schedule with the games, and in return, Johto rewarded you with a world that pulsed with life, folklore creatures emerging as if summoned by the stars themselves. As you delved deeper, the connections between past and present sharpened. That time travel jaunt via Celebi didn't just revisit Kanto, it revealed how Johto's folklore Pokémon were the missing links. Celebi's Grove, hidden in the heart of Elex, wasn't random. It was a nexus where time folded, allowing echoes of ancient guardians, like Suicune, the North Wind incarnate, to appear in both eras. Suicune, with its crystalline form drawn from the dragon-like Ryugu of sea myths, purified waters tainted by the past's mistakes, symbolizing Johto's theme of golden renewal. You chased it across rooftops and through storms, each citing a nod to the folklore beasts that roamed Japan's mountains, elusive and pure. And let's not forget the human side, the gym leaders steeped in tradition. Morty in Ekritake, with his ghostly Gengar lurking in the fog, channeled the yokai hunters of old tales. His fog-shrouded gym, a labyrinth where day-night played tricks on your senses. Or Jasmine in Olivine, her steel types forged like the unyielding samurai armor of folklore, only fully challenging you when the lighthouse beacon pierced the night. These weren't filler fights, they were chapters in a larger saga where the time travel twist let you see how their lineages stretched back, influencing the present's battles. The day-night cycle amplified this folklore infusion, making encounters feel fated. Venture into the dark cave at noon, and it's a crawl of Zubat swarms, but wait until midnight. And Dunsparce, that serpentine oddity inspired by the elusive Hebe snakes of myth, burrows up for a rare shot. It created dynamics where the world evolved around you, Ponyta galloping in fiery herds at dusk, their flames like will-o'-the-wisps, leading travellers astray in old stories. You learned to listen to the game's subtle cues, the chime of evening, the hush of nightfall, pulling you into a rhythm that mirrored life's own cycles. Johto wasn't static. It breathed, changed, connected eras through these mechanics, making every playthrough a unique tapestry of myth and moment. This golden return of Johto lingers because it captured something profound, the idea that adventure isn't linear. The time travel twist in Gold and Silver didn't just connect past and present, it made you the bridge, with Celebi as your guide through folklore's veil. Those folklore-inspired Pokémon, from the time-bending Sprite to the prophetic Xatu, weren't collectibles. They were storytellers, whispering of worlds beyond the screen. And with the day-night cycle, the region introduced evolving dynamics that turned rare encounters into heart-pounding payoffs, like finally netting that nocturnal Heracross under the moon, its horn a relic from horned-only legends. You felt it, that pull of nostalgia laced with discovery, as you traded blows in the Indigo Plateau. The past's champions, now foes informed by your Johto wisdom. It was more than a game. It was a loop of golden moments, forever linking the boy with the Pokeball to the trainer who mastered time itself. But as Johto's lights dim and the path forward calls, you're about to step into the heart of the wild, where untamed forces and primal calls await. What secrets lurk in those overgrown depths that could redefine your entire journey? Heart of the wild, in the vast regions of Johto, where ancient forests whisper secrets to the wind. The heart of the wild beats strongest in the untamed expanses that shaped a generation of trainers. You remember those moments, don't you? Venturing into the tall grass of Ilex Forest or the misty shores of Whirl Islands, where every rustle promised adventure and every Pokémon encounter felt like a brush with destiny. But what truly transformed how we built our teams wasn't just the thrill of the catch, it was the quiet revolution hidden in the daycare, a mechanic that turned random wild captures into something profoundly strategic and personal. Think back to those early days of Pokémon Gold and Silver. You'd hand over your tired Pidgey and Rattata to the old couple on Route 34, hoping they'd return a little stronger, maybe with a new move or two. But then came the surprise, the egg that appeared in your party, warm and pulsing with potential. Breeding wasn't just a side feature, it was a game changer that let you craft your dream team from the ground up. Suddenly you weren't limited to what the wild offered. You could mix and match nature's abilities and even hidden potentials passed down through generations. Remember breeding for that perfect shiny Eevee, spending hours cycling through the routes just to hatch one with the right IVs? It revolutionized team building because it made every Pokémon feel like an extension of your strategy, not a roll of the dice. You'd plan entire lineages, crossing a Ditto with your prized Typhlosion to unlock elemental varieties you couldn't find in the wild. It added layers of depth, turning the simple act of training into a science of genetics and patience. Trainers who mastered this could dominate leagues with optimized squads. Imagine a Scyther with technician ability, bred specifically for your playstyle, slicing through opponents before they even moved. And it wasn't just about power, it fostered creativity. Why settle for a standard lineup when you could breed a Togepi with a gentle nature to soothe your journey, or a Larvitar that evolved into a Tyranitar ready to crush boulders in your path? This mechanic pulled you deeper into the world, making you feel like a true breeder, nurturing the wild heart into something legendary. As you delved further into Johto's mysteries, the breeding system revealed how balance permeates every aspect of the Pokémon universe. It's not chaos out there in the wild, it's a delicate harmony, where each species plays its role in the ecosystem. You'd see it in the way Pokémon like Blossom danced in harmony with the environment, their petals swaying to maintain the forest's rhythm. Breeding mirrored that, pairing compatible types to produce offspring that fit seamlessly into your team, ensuring no weaknesses went unaddressed. But the true awakening came when you uncovered the guardians of this balance, starting with the deep seas that cradled Lugia. Picture the moment you first heard the legends of the Whirl Islands, those swirling vortexes off Tianwood's coast that hid chambers of roaring waves. Lugia, the diving Pokémon, wasn't just a psychic powerhouse with wings like silver sails. Its emergence from the ocean depths unveiled the profound environmental themes woven into Johto's lore. You dove into those waters, your surfing Pokémon, cutting through the foam, heart pounding as the screen shook with the approach of a being that commanded the seas. Lugia's awakening wasn't about destruction. It was a revelation of equilibrium, a reminder that the oceans teem with life, sustained by careful stewardship. In the games, capturing Lugia required more than strength. It demanded respect for the wild's pulse. The silver wing, that shimmering artifact from the Kimono Girls, symbolized humanity's role in preserving balance. You'd recall the anime episodes where Ash and his friends witnessed Lugia's cry echoing across the waves, stirring tsunamis that threatened coastal towns, but ultimately restored the marine harmony disrupted by human greed. Lugia embodies the ocean's dual nature, fierce protector and gentle nurturer, teaching you that true power lies in restraint. As a trainer, breeding your water types to complement Lugia's aeroblast attacks reinforced this. A Kingdra bred for swift swimming, or a Lapra with a calm demeanour to traverse the seas without disturbance. It made you ponder, didn't it? How many times did you pause mid-game, staring at the waves, realising that every Pokémon interaction was a lesson in environmental care? This theme of balance extended beyond the waves, rippling through the land and sky, where Lugia's counterpart awaited. But before the flames and rainbows, let's linger on how Lugia's story reshaped your approach to the wild. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver remakes, the enhanced graphics brought the ocean to life. The bioluminescent plankton glowing as Lugia surfaced, its eyes reflecting the stars. You felt the weight of that encounter, not as a boss fight, but as a communion with nature's guardian. Breeding mechanics tied directly into this. You'd hatch Dratini eggs near the water's edge, watching as the young ones instinctively swam toward Lugia's domain, symbolizing the cycle of life that Lugia oversaw. It revolutionized not just your team, but your mindset. Suddenly, every hatchling was a vote for sustainability, a tiny act of balancing the wild's heart. And yet, as Lugia's oceanic vigil held the seas in check, the skies called with a prophecy of renewal. Ho-Oh, the rainbow Pokémon, perched atop the tin tower, its feathers shimmering like a bridge between worlds. You climbed those sacred steps in Ecruteak City, the flute's melody summoning flames that danced without burning. Ho-Oh's appearance wasn't mere spectacle, it was a foreshadowing of the eternal trainer's path, a vision of perseverance that echoed through every challenge you'd face. The rainbow trail it left behind wasn't just visual flair, it promised resurrection, a cycle where even fallen allies could rise anew, much like the eggs from your breeding endeavours. Remember the myth, Ho-Oh only reveals itself to those pure of heart, trainers who understand the wild's interconnected web. In your journeys, this prophecy unfolded gradually. After losing a battle, you'd return to the daycare, breeding resilience into your team, a new Torchic with blaze ability, ready to reignite your spirit. Ho-Oh's lore in the games tied back to the Burning Tower, where its grief over the loss of life birthed the rainbow as a symbol of hope. It foreshadowed your own eternal path, the endless grind of leveling, the joy of hatching that 1 in 8,192 shiny, the satisfaction of a team that evolved not just in stats, but in story. You became the eternal trainer, forever chasing that next horizon, with Ho-Oh's wings guiding you toward redemption and growth. This interplay between Lugia and Ho-Oh crystallized the heart of the wild's philosophy. Lugia anchored the depths with balance. Ho-Oh illuminated the heights with prophecy, and your breeding strategies wove them together. Imagine breeding a legendary-inspired team, a Lugia-like Articuno for icy control, paired with Ho-Oh's fiery essence in a bred Moltres variant. It wasn't random, it was deliberate, mirroring the legend's harmony. Trainers who ignored this missed the deeper layer. Johto wasn't about collecting, it was about cultivating a legacy that respected the wild's rhythm. As you reflect on those nights spent grinding eggs on your bike, the soft chime of a new hatch breaking the silence, you realise how these mechanics and myths shaped your nostalgia. The heart of the wild pulsed with possibility, turning solitary play sessions into epic sagas of creation and guardianship. Lugia's awakening stirred your sense of wonder for the unseen balances beneath the surface, while Ho-Oh's prophecy whispered that your path as a trainer stretched infinitely, resilient against every setback. But Johto's tales don't end in the towers or tides. They flow onward to warmer shores, where ancient powers stir in lush paradises. Up next, in Hoenn's tropical awakening, you'll uncover how volcanic forces and primal urges redefine the wild's embrace, pulling you into a steamy world of hidden grottos and emergent legends that will leave you yearning for one more dive into the undergrowth. What secrets await in those emerald canopies? Stick around and let the nostalgia carry you there. Now, let's expand on that breeding revolution a bit more, because it deserves the spotlight it shone so brightly in our younger days. Before gold and silver, team building was straightforward. Catch what you find, train what works. But breeding introduced inheritance, a system where parents pass down moves via TM compatibility or egg moves that bypassed evolution limits. You could teach a bred match-up earthquake early, turning it into a seismic force before it even flexed its first muscle. This wasn't just metagaming, it was storytelling through stats. Your rival's team might brute force their way, but yours? Yours was engineered poetry, each Pokémon a chapter in your personal epic. Take the example of competitive breeding for the Battle Tower. You'd isolate a female Salazzle with corrosion ability, breeding it with a Ditto holding an Everstone to lock in that corrosive nature, then cycle through eggs until you hit the perfect speed stat. Hours melted away, but the payoff, a Salazzle that melted steels on contact, felt godlike. It revolutionized strategies because it democratized power. No longer did luck dictate your fate. Casual players bred for fun, like a chain of Pikachu evolutions leading to a Raichu with Volt Tackle, a move inherited only through fatherly lineage. And in the wild's heart, this mirrored nature's own ingenuity, Pokémon adapting, evolving, balancing ecosystems through subtle genetic dances. Lugia's Oceanic Awakening amplified this theme exponentially. When you first summoned it in the Whirl Islands, the game's music swelled with ethereal waves, and Lugia's psychic prowess demanded a team in perfect sync. Breeding became your tool for harmony, a Quagsire with Unaware to ignore Lugia's special attack boosts, or a Melodic bred for Marvel scale, turning defensive plays into oceanic fortresses. The environmental message hit home, Lugia's role as guardian against pollution and overfishing, subtly critiqued through Team Rocket's schemes. In the anime, Misty's bond with water Pokémon echoed this, her Staryu evolving into a symbol of fluid balance. You felt it personally, didn't you? Surfing alongside your bred Lapras, the world feeling vast yet connected, every wave a reminder to tread lightly. Ho-Oh's Rainbow Prophecy added the spark of eternity to this mix. After the dance of the Kimono Girls, ascending the burned tower to witness Ho-Oh's rebirth, you grasped the foreshadowing. Trainers like you were meant to endure, to rebuild. The sacred rainbow wing wasn't just a key, it was a covenant. Breeding tied in beautifully, hatching Torchic eggs under the rainbow's glow in remakes, as if infusing them with Ho-Oh's fiery renewal. Your team became eternal, regenerating through cycles of defeat and victory. Remember breeding for the elusive ones, like a Bagon that finally mega-evolved into a dragon of prophecy? It foreshadowed your path, the eternal loop of capture, breed, battle, repeat, each step a colourful arc toward mastery. Diving deeper into examples, consider the wild areas of Johto that embodied this heart. The Safari Zone in Cianwood, expanded in remakes, let you observe Pokémon in natural habitats, breeding them on site for unique encounters. You'd place blocks to lure a Dratini, then breed it with your Dragonite for a lineage of pseudo-legendaries. This mechanic highlighted balance. Overstocking blocks disrupted the zone's ecosystem, mirroring Lugia's watery warnings. Ho-Oh's prophecy loomed over it all, promising that patient trainers would inherit the rainbow's blessings, their bred team soaring above the ordinary. Emotionally, these elements tugged at your core, the surprise of an egg hatching into a Pokémon that reminded you of your starter, carrying forward its fighting spirit. Lugia's cry, a haunting melody that made you shiver with awe, revealing how fragile yet mighty nature's balance is. Ho-Oh's warm glow after loss, whispering that your journey as the eternal trainer was far from over. It all wove into nights of nostalgic play, where the heart of the wild felt alive in your hands. And as Johto's guardians watch over their domains, the call of distant tropics beckons, promising awakenings that blend fire and foliage in ways that'll transport you straight back to your Game Boy's glow. Hoenn's tropical awakening awaits, with its humid mysteries and primal calls that redefine what it means to connect with the wild. Curious yet. Hoenn's tropical awakening, in the sun-drenched archipelago of Hoenn, where volcanic peaks pierce the sky and coral reefs pulse with hidden life. A region awakens not just to adventure, but to a profound division that shapes every step you take as a trainer. Ruby and Sapphire, those twin beacons of the third generation, thrust you into a world split clean down the middle, land against sea, earth against water, with loyalties that pull you in opposite directions from the very first choice you make. You start in Little Root Town, a quiet suburb far from the chaos, but even there, the tension simmers beneath the surface. Professor Birch, that rugged expert with his wild hair and ever-present fieldwork kit, hands you your starter Pokémon, and right away, you're picking sides without realizing it. Go with Triaco, the wood gecko that thrives on forest floors and rocky climbs, or Torchic, the fiery chick that dances through sun-baked trails. Mudkip, the water puppy, with its fin tail slicing through waves, draws you toward the ocean's call. Each choice isn't just about type advantages, it's a subtle allegiance. Ruby pulls you toward the Earth's raw power, urging you to champion the expansion of continents, while Sapphire whispers of the sea's endless depths, defending the floods that keep the world in balance. You feel it as you venture out. Do you align with the land's unyielding strength, or the sea's fluid mystery? As you weave through Route 101's tall grass, battling wild Poochyena and Zigzagoon, the split becomes clearer. In Ruby, the land cries out for dominance. Team Magma, those red-clad zealots led by the charismatic Maxi, believe the planet is overcrowded. That oceans swallow too much space. They worship Groudon, the primal ground beast whose awakening could expand the land masses, creating vast new territories for Pokémon and people alike. You encounter them early, their grunts harassing ecologists on Route 110, stealing Devon goods to fuel their continental dream. But in Sapphire, it's Team Aqua who stirs the pot. Led by the enigmatic Archie, with his harpoon arm and pirate swagger, they see the seas as the true cradle of life, arguing that land hoards resources selfishly. Kyogre, the sea basin whale, is their idol, a titanic force that could summon endless rains and floods to reclaim the world for water. Their raids on McChimney and Ruby feel like invasions, but flip to Sapphire, and suddenly Magma's interference there is the outrage, disrupting Aqua's plans to cool the volcanoes and let the oceans rise. This duality isn't just a plot twist, it's woven into every corner of Hoenn. Take the gym leaders, they mirror the divide. Roxanne in Rustborough, with her rock-solid nose pass, embodies the Earth's foundation in both versions. But as you progress, the battles shift tone. In Ruby, Brawley's Makahita on Dewford Island pounds like crashing waves against your team, yet his surfing vibe hints at the sea's encroachment. Watson in Mauville electrifies the crossroads, neutral but caught in the crossfire. The version split forces you to navigate alliances carefully. Side with the Devon Corporation in Slateport, and you're thwarting Aqua's submarine heist in Sapphire, recovering a vital submarine part that could tip the scales toward land. Switch to Ruby, and it's Magma you're foiling at the same museum, their meteorite obsession fueling Groudon's legend. But Hoenn doesn't let the rivalry consume everything. Amid the brewing storm, contests emerge as a breath of fresh air, turning battles into spectacles that blend raw power with artistic grace. You arrive in Slateport's contest hall, the lights dimming as the crowd hushes, and suddenly your Pokémon aren't just fighters, they're performers. Remember entering your Torchic in the normal rank beauty contest? You teach it Peck, but layer on a ribbon with the moves that dazzle. A spinning quick attack trailed by embers from Ember, earning hearts from the judges for that fiery elegance. Contests add this performative flair, where type matchups give way to categories like cool, beauty, cute, smart, and tough. In Lily Cove City, the Master Rank events ramp up the stakes. Your Swellow soaring through aerial combos, or a Lombre swaying in a rhythmic dance that scores high on cute. It's not about knocking out opponents. It's about harmony, applause, and those glittering ribbons that drape your Pokémon like medals of artistry. These contests humanize the journey, don't they? You feel the thrill of customizing movesets, not for efficiency, but for showmanship, teaching your Gardevoir a psychic swirl that blooms like fireworks, or your Aggron stomping in tough poses that shake the stage. They bridge the land-sea divide too, held in coastal towns where magma and aqua spies lurk in the crowds. Yet for a moment, it's pure celebration. Win the Hoenn Grand Festival, and you stand on that podium in Master Rank glory, your team exhausted but radiant, a reminder that even in a world tearing itself apart, beauty persists. Deeper into the region, the alliances sharpen. Cross the sea on your newly earned Wingull or Pelipper, and in Sapphire the currents carry whispers of Kyogre's ancient songs echoing from the depths. Dive into the abandoned ship off Route 108, scavenging for treasures, while evading aqua grunts, planting bombs to sink vessels and widen the seas. In Ruby, those same waters hide Magma's underwater labs, where they're engineering devices to dry up roots and expose new land. You battle your way through Slateport's harbour, fists clenched as Archie or Maxie monologues about their vision. Archie's eyes gleaming with the promise of a watery paradise, Maxie's glasses flashing as he calculates continental growth. Your rival, that cocky kid from Oldale who mirrors your starter choice, challenges you on every route. Their team evolving in parallel, but their taunts hint at the larger war. You think you can stand against the tide? The split reaches its fever pitch on the slopes of Mintpire, that eerie volcanic memorial where spirits of departed Pokémon swirl in the mist. Here, the teams clash over the red and blue orbs, artifacts that could summon the legends. In Ruby, Aqua invades to corrupt the blue orb, twisting it towards sea dominance, while Magma guards the red with fanatic zeal. Flip the versions, and roles reverse. Magma's the intruders, Aqua's the defenders. You intervene, snatching the orbs, feeling their pulsing energy in your bag like heartbeats of the earth and sea. But the real awakening comes at Sutopolis City, that sunken crater city ringed by waterfalls, where the sky darkens and the ground trembles. Groudon rises first in Ruby, its massive form cracking the earth, sunlight blazing as continents threaten to swallow the seas. Panic grips the streets. Juan, the water gym leader, urges evacuation, while Wallace prays at the Cave of Origin. Then Kyogre surges in Sapphire, storms lashing the harbours, waves crashing over the elite trainers fleeing Sky Pillar. The clash is primal, titans roaring in a cataclysm that could reshape Hoenn forever. You race through the chaos, your team battered from gym battles and contest prep, but nothing prepares you for this. The air thickens with ozone and ash, Pokémon scattering in fear. Just when the world teeters on the brink, Rayquaza descends. The Sky Dragon, emerald-scaled guardian of the ozone layer, coils from the heavens like a comet. In both versions, it intervenes with dramatic fury, its mega evolution form, though not yet named then, unleashing dragon ascent to quell the beasts. Groudon and Kyogre, exhausted from their rage, revert to slumber, the orb's power spent. Rayquaza's roar echoes across the region, a thunderous reminder that balance must prevail. You watch from the sidelines, heart pounding, as the skies clear and the waters recede, Sotopolis emerging, scarred but whole. This intervention isn't just a deus ex machina, it's Hoenn's soul laid bare. Rayquaza, perched atop Sky Pillar, symbolises the harmony contests strive for, power tempered by wisdom. You earn the title of champion, not through conquest, but by restoring equilibrium, facing Stephen or Wallace in the Elite Four with a team that's battled, performed, and survived the divide. Yet as the tropical sun sets on your victories, painting the beaches in hues of orange and pink, questions linger beneath the waves. What ancient forces stirred these titans, and what deeper mysteries hide in Hoenn's submerged ruins? In the next chapter, Secrets Beneath the Waves, we'll dive into those forgotten depths, uncovering relics and legends that could rewrite everything you thought you knew about the sea's true guardians. You won't want to miss how these submerged truths pull you even further into the unknown. Hoenn's awakening lingers in your mind long after the credits roll, doesn't it? That split between Ruby's earthen might and Sapphire's oceanic embrace creates a replay value that's addictive, urging you to experience both sides. Think about the first time you sailed from Lily Cove to Moss Deep, the psychics there sensing the imbalance in the psychic waves, warning of the legend's unrest, or exploring the scorched slab on Route 120, where heat shimmers off the rocks in Ruby, hinting at Groudon's fiery breath, while in Sapphire, the same slab feels cooler. Damp mists rolling in from Kyogre's influence, these subtle environmental cues make the world feel alive, responsive to the version's core conflict. Contests, too, offer endless depth. You could spend hours in the Pokémon fan club, swapping strategies for appeal combos, using a rain dance on a Marill to amplify its bubble beauty, or a swords dance on a Scyther for that sharp, cool edge. The judges' personalities shine through, Mr. Contests booming approval, or the elegant lady critiquing your timing. Winning a ribbon feels like earning a piece of Hoenn's vibrant culture, a counterpoint to the team's destructive ambitions. And the Pokémon themselves, Hoenn introduces over 100 new ones, each tied to the land-sea theme. Landlubbers like the Sea-Dot line, evolving into mighty Shiftry that command forests, or the fiery Camerupt, its humps erupting like volcanoes. Sea dwellers abound, the Wingull flock that scouts roots, or the Clample that hides pearls of power. Then there are the hybrids, like the Lotad that floats on lily pads, bridging water and earth. Catching them all means navigating the split. Ruby's drier roots favour ground types, while Sapphire's rains boost water evolutions. Battling the Elite Four after Rayquaza's save is cathartic. Phoebe's ghosts in the pyramid evoke Montpire's spirits, Glacier's ice mirroring frozen seas, Drake's dragons foreshadowing Rayquaza's might. The champion fight, Stephen's steel behemoths in Ruby, Wallace's elegant water ballet in Sapphire, tests your alliances. Your team forged in contests and crises stands tall. But let's linger on those key moments. Remember the submarine chase in Sapphire, diving through underwater currents, battling Sharpedo with your Whiscash, the pressure building as Archie's voice crackles over speakers, declaring the sea's supremacy. In Ruby, scaling meteor falls, Camerupt's eruptions lighting the caves, Maxie's laughter echoing as he activates the meteorite. These sequences pull you in, making the versions feel like parallel universes colliding. Rayquaza's intervention, it's cinematic in your mind's eye, the dragon's wings blotting the sun, Mega Rayquaza's delta stream, calming the storm with a single pulse. You fly on its back in the endgame, soaring to the top of Sky Pillar, wind whipping as the region heals below. It's the payoff for every choice, every contest ribbon, every thwarted raid. Hoenn teaches you that awakenings aren't always gentle. The tropical paradise hides fault lines, but through it all, your journey binds the fragments. As you settle into Petalburg Woods or gaze from Evergrande's summit, the nostalgia hits, those Game Boy Advance clicks, the glow of the screen late at night. And just when you think the surface stories are done, the waves beckon with their secrets. Secrets beneath the waves. Did you know that beneath the shimmering surface of Hoenn's oceans lies a hidden world so vast and mysterious that it could rewrite everything you thought you understood about Pokémon? In the games that took us back to that sun-soaked region, the dive mechanic wasn't just a clever tool. It was your key to plunging into depths where ancient secrets pulse with life, waiting for discovery. Think about the first time you pressed that A button on your Game Boy Advance, watching your character submerge into the cool, rippling water. No longer confined to the sandy shores or bustling ports, you descended into a labyrinth of coral-encrusted caves and forgotten ruins, where the light fades to a soft blue glow. This wasn't some shallow tide pool, it was a gateway to realms teeming with species that had slumbered for eons, untouched by the modern world above. Relicanth, that rugged fish Pokémon with its armoured scales, swims lazily through these waters, a living fossil whose ancestors shared the seas with the very first legendary beings. You encounter it down there, alongside Clamperl and its evolutions, creatures that hint at evolutionary paths long diverged from the surface dwellers. But it's not just about catching them, it's the thrill of exploration, the way the underwater map unfolds like a treasure map from a childhood adventure, revealing hidden currents and submerged temples that whisper of a time when the oceans were young and wild. As you navigate these depths, pressing forward through twisting passages, you start to feel the weight of history pressing in. The dive mechanic transforms the game into something intimate, almost meditative, like slipping into a dream where every bubble carries a story. Picture yourself, yes you, the trainer who spent hours grinding levels on Route 104, now gliding silently past schools of ancient Lileep and Anorith, revived from fossils that washed up on distant shores. These aren't your everyday water types, they're relics, survivors of cataclysms that reshaped the planet. What secrets do they guard? Why do they thrive only in these hidden grottos, away from the chaos of the surface? Each encounter pulls you deeper, making you question if the real adventure has been hiding right under your nose all along. But as you delve further, the tranquility shatters. The ground trembles not from an earthquake, but from something far more primal. Groudon's earth-shaking rage begins to stir, a force so immense it sends ripples through the seafloor, cracking stone and stirring silt into blinding clouds. This legendary behemoth, the embodiment of the land itself, awakens with a fury that demands expansion, its red-hot body scorching the waves into steam. You feel it in the game, don't you? The screen shakes as seismic waves propagate, turning peaceful dives into desperate evasions. Groudon's power isn't subtle. It's a declaration of dominance, plates of the earth shifting under its roar, threatening to swallow islands whole. And yet, it's not acting alone. Opposing it rises Kyogre, the tidal fury incarnate, whose deep blue form summons storms that flood the world above. Their clash escalates everything. The global stakes skyrocket as droughts turn to deluges, cities teeter on the brink, and trainers like you become unlikely saviors in a battle of biblical proportions. How does it hit you, that moment when the weather changes mid-dive? 1 second you're collecting pearls from a quiet abyss. The next, tidal waves crash through the caverns, propelled by Kyogre's primal call. This isn't just a boss fight, it's the heart of Hoenn's legend, where the balance between land and sea hangs by a thread. Groudon's rage cracks continents, birthing new mountains from the depths, while Kyogre's fury drowns them just as quickly, carving oceans where forests once stood. The stakes feel personal because you've explored those very waters. The place is now at risk. Remember the panic as Team Aqua or Magma pushes their agendas, blind to the devastation. You, with your team of loyal Pokémon, race against time, diving deeper to confront the source. It's exhilarating, terrifying, a reminder that these ancient forces don't care about badges or rivalries. They're reshaping the world, and you're caught in the surge. In the midst of this chaos, a new layer of mystery emerges, one that tugs at the edges of reality itself. As Groudon and Kyogre's war intensifies, drawing all eyes to the surface turmoil, something watches from the shadows. Latios and Latias, the psychic guardians whose presence feels like a gentle hand on your shoulder in the storm. These Eon Pokémon aren't warriors in the traditional sense. They're sentinels, their iridescent wings slicing through water and air alike, minds attuned to threats beyond the physical. You first glimpse them in Southern Island or the skies over Laveridge, but it's in the underwater realms where their guardianship truly shines, uncovering lore that's been veiled for generations. Latios, with his sleek, aerodynamic form and piercing red eyes, projects illusions to shield the innocent, bending light and perception to hide sacred sights from prying eyes. Latias, her softer blue hues shimmering like a mirage, complements him with empathy that borders on telepathy, sensing the turmoil in trainers' hearts amid the escalating crises. Together, they form a duo that's more than legend. They're the unseen protectors, darting through submerged ruins to reveal fragments of Eon lore that connect the dots between Hoenn's primal clash and older cosmic tales. What hidden knowledge do they impart? In the games, it's subtle. A meteorite here, a psychic vision there, but it all points to a greater tapestry. Their guardianship isn't about brute force, it's about preservation, ensuring that the secrets beneath the waves, those ancient species and forgotten rituals, survive the rage of titans like Groudon and Kyogre. You start to piece it together during your dives, don't you? A psychic pulse from Latias guides you to a concealed chamber, where murals depict the Eon duo as eternal watchers, born from the same ethereal energy that birthed the legends clashing above. This lore uncovers how Latios and Latias aren't just rare encounters. They're keys to understanding the balance, intervening when the Earth's fury threatens to unmake the world. Imagine the surprise when, after battling through Kyogre's floods, Latios appears, his meteoric stream attack a dazzling display that clears the path forward. Or Latias evading capture with her mist ball, only to aid you in a moment of dire need. Their story adds depth to the chaos, turning global stakes into a personal quest for truth. Why do they choose solitude, flitting between dimensions? What other Eon secrets lurk, waiting for a worthy trainer to uncover? As the waters churn and the earth groans, these guardians remind us that not all power is destructive. Their psychic bond weaves through the narrative, offering glimpses of hope amid the escalation. You felt it, the way catching one feels like earning a silent vow of alliance, their lore enriching every dive you take. But even as Latios and Latias shield the hidden realms, the primal forces press on, Groudon's quakes merging with Kyogre's tsunamis in a symphony of destruction that demands resolution. Trainers across Hoenn unite, from the depths to the peaks, to quell the rage, but the scars remain, etched into the seafloor like warnings for the future. Diving into these secrets changes how you see the entire region. The ancient species aren't mere collectibles. They're testaments to resilience, swimming through currents stirred by legends far greater than themselves. Garudon and Kyogre's fury isn't abstract. It's the storm that tests your resolve, escalating stakes until the world feels fragile, breakable, and through it all, Latios and Latias stand as beacons, their Eon lore a thread pulling you toward deeper understanding. You emerge from those waters not just with new Pokémon, but with a sense of wonder that lingers, like the echo of bubbles long after surfacing. Yet as the waves settle and the earth stills, the mysteries don't end. Hoenn's turmoil hints at broader legends, ones that span regions and eras. What if the Guardian's visions point northward, to a dawn where myths awaken in frozen tundras? That's the pull towards Sinnoh's mythic dawn, where ancient powers stir once more, promising revelations that could eclipse even the sea's deepest secrets. Stick around, because what unfolds there will leave you questioning the very fabric of the Pokémon world. Now let's linger a bit longer on those underwater wonders. Remember the Sootopolis city crisis, where the storm rages so fiercely that the gym leader hides away. You have to dive into the Cave of Origin, navigating pitch-black tunnels lit only by the bioluminescence of unseen creatures. It's tense, your heart pounding with each step, or swim as Groudon's influence seeps in, warming the waters unnaturally. Ancient species like the revived Armoldo prowl these halls, their claws scraping against stone, a stark reminder of evolution's long lost. You battle them, not out of malice, but necessity, each victory unveiling more about how these relics tie into the primal conflict. Relicanth's sturdy form becomes your anchor, its rock-type resilience, a shield against the shaking depths. And oh, the thrill when you finally confront Kyogre in its marine cave lair. The tidal fury builds gradually, the water level rises, currents pull you off course, and then the massive whale emerges, its eyes glowing with ancient wrath. This isn't a random encounter, it's the culmination of dives that started as simple explorations. The global stakes hit home here. Cities flooding, farmlands salinized, the balance tipping toward oblivion. You throw your Ultra Balls, but it's the strategy that counts, exploiting weaknesses, timing your moves amid the downpour. Victory brings a hush, but Groudon's counter-rage soon follows, earthquakes splitting the seafloor, forcing you to surface amid chaos. Latios and Latias weave in seamlessly, their psychic guardianship like a safety net. In the anime, they soar above the fray, but in the games, it's your encounters that reveal their lore. Trade for one in a distant region, or hunt them in the wild, and suddenly, their abilities unlock new paths, flying over impassable waters, psychically sensing hidden items in the depths. The Eon lore speaks of them as children of the sky and mind, created to counterbalance the land-sea divide. Hidden texts in the games, pieced together from dives, suggest they once mediated between Groudon and Kyogre, their telepathy soothing primal instincts before hubris intervened. It's this uncovered history that elevates the stakes, making you feel like part of a timeless cycle. You can't help but feel a connection, can you? As a kid playing Emerald, those dives were magical escapes, but revisiting them now stirs nostalgia laced with awe. The ancient species challenge you to think bigger. Lileep's tentacle whips echoing. Prehistoric seas, Anorith scuttling like armoured crabs from another era. They thrive in the dive realms, because that's where the world remembers its origins, untouched by human ambition. When Groudon's rage shakes loose boulders, burying paths, or Kyogre's waves erode caverns, these Pokémon adapt, survivors in a world remade. The escalation builds to that legendary showdown in the Sky Pillar or the Sealed Chambers, where Rayquaza intervenes, but it's the prelude, the dives, the guardians, the lore that makes it epic. Latia's playful evasions during capture teach patience, her lore hinting at parallel worlds where Eon Pokémon watch over multiple realities. Latios' speed blurs the line between game and dream, his visions foreshadowing the primal clash. Together, they guard not just places but knowledge, that the secrets beneath the waves hold the key to preventing total catastrophe. As the chapter of Hoenn's depths closes, you're left buoyant, mind adrift on currents of curiosity. The dive mechanic didn't just add gameplay, it immersed you in a narrative of hidden life and looming peril. Groudon and Kyogre's fury raise the stakes to planetary levels, while Latios and Latia's subtle interventions uncovered lore that binds it all. But the ocean's whispers don't fade easily. They echo toward new horizons, where Sinnoh's mythic dawn awaits, unveiling myths that could rival these watery enigmas in splendor and surprise. Sinnoh's mythic dawn. In the heart of Sinnoh, where jagged mountains pierce the sky and ancient lakes whisper secrets to the wind, the legends of creation begin not with a bang, but with a single, shimmering egg. That's the bold truth at the core of Pokémon Diamond and Pearl. The idea that everything we know, from the tiniest Caterpie to the vast oceans, hatched from one fragile source. You remember that moment in the game, don't you? When Professor Rowan hands you your first Pokémon, and the world feels infinite, but beneath it all lies this mythic dawn, a story of gods and chaos that shaped reality itself. Let's step back into those snowy roots and misty caves, where Diamond and Pearl pull you into a tale older than the regions we've explored so far. As you trek through the chill of Route 216, battling wild Snorant and uncovering hidden fossils, the game's lore starts to unfold like a forgotten scroll. The elders in Celestic Town speak of it first, the creation myth that binds Sinnoh's people to their Pokémon in ways no other land does. It's not just backstory, it's the pulse of the adventure. You feel it when you climb Mount Coronet, the world's axis, and sense that something immense watches from beyond the veil. At the centre of this myth stands Arceus, the unseen architect whose presence echoes through every pixel and storyline. Arceus didn't craft the world with thunderous commands or fiery forges. No, it wove existence from subtlety, from the quiet spin of its golden wheel. In your mind's eye as you listen, the original one, as the ancient texts call it, emerging from that primordial egg in a void of nothingness. Alone it pondered the emptiness and, from its own essence, it birthed the fabric of reality. But Arceus is no spotlight stealer. It's the shadow behind the throne, the force that delegates power to its creations while remaining elusive, almost mythical in its detachment. You see, Arceus forged the late Guardians first, Uxie, Mesprit and Azelf, to guard the essence of knowledge, emotion and willpower. These three, born from its thoughts, scattered across Sinnoh's sacred waters, embedding the spark of life into every mind and heart. Then came Dialga and Palkia, embodiments of time and space, shaping the very dimensions we navigate. And lurking in opposition, Giratina, the renegade, cast into exile for its violent nature. But Arceus, it stepped back, its form shifting through 18 plates of elemental power, influencing without direct interference. In Diamond and Pearl, you glimpse this through Cyrus's twisted philosophy, but the myth itself invites you to wonder, what if the world you battle through is just one layer of Arceus's grand design, a test of harmony amid chaos? As you press on in the game, Climbing higher into Mount Coronet's fog-shrouded peaks, the myth deepens, revealing cracks in that perfect creation. Enter the distortion world, a realm that doesn't just bend reality, it shatters and reforms it, challenging everything you thought you knew about space and time. This isn't some distant afterlife. It's a parallel plane, accessible through the game's most disorienting moments, like the turnaround from Route 222 into that inverted nightmare. You arrive there after confronting Cyrus at the spear pillar, and suddenly gravity flips, paths loop impossibly, and the world tilts on its side. What makes the distortion world so profoundly unsettling is how it warps your perceptions, turning the familiar into the alien. In the game, platforms float without anchor, colours invert, and time feels elastic. Seconds stretch into eternities as you puzzle your way forward. It's Giratina's domain, the outlaw Pokémon, banished by Arceus for disrupting the balance with its raw antimatter fury. Here, space isn't linear. It's a labyrinth where left becomes right and up defies down. Time too unravels, events echo without cause, memories bleed into the present. You navigate it not with brute force but with patience, mirroring the myth's lesson. Creation demands order, but distortion reminds us how fragile that order is. Think about your own playthrough. Didn't it feel like the controllers slipped in your hands as you floated across those reversed fields? The distortion world isn't just a boss arena. It's a philosophical gut punch, forcing you to question the boundaries of your world. In Sinnoh's lore, it's said that Giratina rules this shadowed mirror, a place where rejected ideas and broken harmonies fester. Yet it's not pure evil, it's the necessary counterweight, the yin to Arceus's yang. Without it, reality would stagnate, unchanging and dull. As you battle through, summoning your team to counter its draconic wrath, you embody the myth's tension, the pull between structure and subversion. But the true peril in Sinnoh's dawn isn't just distortion, it's the clash that threatens to unravel it all. Dialga and Palkia, those titanic siblings born from Arceus's will, hold the threads of time and space in their claws. Dialga, the steel-clad guardian of chronology, ensures days flow into nights, evolutions happen in sequence, and your journey progresses from fledgling trainer to champion. Palkia, its azure counterpart, carves the spatial canvas. Mountains rise, seas part, and regions connect like puzzle pieces. Together, they stabilize existence, but when their powers collide, the fabric of reality frays. In Diamond and Pearl, you witness this firsthand at the Spear Pillar, where Cyrus summons them in a bid for a new world. The sky tears open, temporal storms rage, and spatial rifts swallow the horizon. Dialga's roar halts time in pockets, freezing Pokémon mid-leap. Palkia's surges twist landscapes, pulling islands adrift. It's chaos incarnate, the kind that makes your heart race during that epic showdown. The myth warns of this. If Dialga's relentless march overtakes Palkia's boundless expanse, time could loop endlessly or snap shut forever. Space might collapse inward, crushing Sinnoh into a singularity, or expand to dilute all life to nothingness. You, as the player, become the arbiter, calling upon Arceus's legacy through your bonds with Pokémon to restore balance. This clash isn't abstract, it's woven into every step of your Sinnoh adventure. Remember the first time you encounter the lake legends, their psychic pulses rippling across the water as they flee from hunters? Or the way Mount Coronet's depths hum with latent power, hinting at the dragons slumbering below? These moments build to the mythic dawn's crescendo, where creation's architects nearly undo their work. Arceus, ever unseen, trusts in the harmony of trainer and Pokémon to intervene. Your team, forged through battles, in Eterna Forest and Veilstone City, stands as proof of that interconnected design. Delving deeper, the myths reveal layers that Diamond and Pearl only hint at, drawing from Sinnoh's real-world inspirations in Hokkaido's folklore. Arceus echoes Shinto creation deities, birthing the world from divine solitude, while the distortion world mirrors concepts of the underworld in Japanese myths, places where the inverted reflects the true. You can almost hear the shaman's chants in Celestic Town, recounting how Arceus's plates shifted to form types, fire from its blaze, water from its torrent, each a deliberate stroke in the architect's blueprint. And the clash, it's a cautionary tale, much like ancient stories of gods warring over domains, reminding us that power unchecked devours its source. As you reflect on these legends, consider how they challenge your own sense of reality. Have you ever paused during a late-night session, staring at the DS screen as the distortion world's glitches make you doubt the code itself? That's the myth's genius. It blurs game and gospel, inviting you to see Arceus not as a catchable entity, but as the quiet force in every random encounter, every level-up glow. The temporal clash of Dialga and Palkia heightens this, turning your playthrough into a race against unraveling. In one version, time accelerates, seasons blur. In the other, space warps, roots fold upon themselves. You navigate both, your choices echoing the myth's plea for equilibrium. Yet for all its grandeur, Sinnoh's mythic dawn carries a subtle melancholy. Arceus, the architect, withdraws, leaving mortals to mend the tears. The distortion world lingers as a scar, a reminder that perfection is illusion. And the dragons clash, it underscores the fragility. One misstep, and the dawn could fade to eternal night. You feel this in the post-game, exploring the Turnback Cave's shifting rooms, or summoning the creations at the Hall of Origin. It's nostalgic, isn't it? That sense of awe mixed with the quiet thrill of having saved a world you barely understood. These myths don't just enrich Diamond and Pearl, they transform the entire Pokémon saga, positioning Sinnoh as the cradle of cosmic lore. From the moment you choose Turtwig, Chimchar, or Piplup in Twinleaf Town, you're threading into this tapestry. The Elder's Tales in Salation Town, the murals in Sunyshore City, they all point back to that egg, that unseen hand. And as you conquer the Elite Four, Cynthia's words linger. The world is vast, but its myths bind us closer. But what happens when human ambition seeks to hijack this divine architecture? That's the shadow creeping in, the schemes of those who view the myths not as guides, but as tools for remaking reality in their image. Up next, in Chapter 12, Galactic Ambitions will uncover how one man's vision twists Sinnoh's dawn into a perilous new order, pulling you deeper into the intrigue that tests every legend we've explored. You won't want to miss how it all unravels from here. Now, as the echoes of these myths settle, let that nostalgic warmth carry you further. Sinnoh's dawn is just the beginning of the night's revelations. In the quiet hours when the screen's glow dims, these stories remind you why Pokémon has always felt like more than a game. It's a mythic journey, etched into your memories, waiting to be relived. The creation myths of Sinnoh, with Arceus pulling strings from afar, invite endless wonder. What other secrets does this region hold, hidden in its frost-kissed peaks and lore-laden temples? As you drift, consider the distortion world's pull, how it mirrors those moments in life when reality feels just out of joint, urging you to find your way back. Expanding on the Lake Guardians, take Yuxi, the being of knowledge, residing in Lake Acuity's icy depths. In the myth, it granted intellect to all Pokémon and humans alike, sparking the first curiosities that led to training and battling. You encounter its evasion in the game, a chase that tests your patience, much like pursuing wisdom itself. Mesprit, flitting across Lake Verity, embodies emotion, the joy of your first victory, the sting of defeat. Catching it feels like capturing a fleeting feeling, tying back to Arceus's emotional core. Azelf in Lake Valor fuels willpower, the drive that pushes you through Victory Road's trials. Together, they form a trinity that Arceus entrusted to safeguard the soul of creation, ensuring no single force dominates. The Distortion World's design amplifies this balance. When you first enter, the anti-gravity ascent defies logic. Platforms aligning only when you think counterintuitively. It's a metaphor for perception. Space and time aren't absolutes, but perceptions shaped by the mind. Giratina's shadow looms, its ghostly form a distortion of the dragon's majesty, yet essential. Without it, Dialga and Palkia's domains would lack contrast, their clash meaningless. In the boss fight, as its wings blot the inverted sky, you summon moves that ground you. Earthquake to steady the flux, or Shadow Claw to pierce the veil, echoing the myth's call to harmonize opposites. That clash between Dialga and Palkia builds to a fever pitch in the storyline. Summoned prematurely, they rampage, time dilating around Dialga's roars, while Palkia's spatial bursts warp the pillar into a vortex. You arrive just in time, your Pokémon bridging the gap, their attacks sinking time and space anew. The aftermath, with the world stabilizing, leaves a profound sense of accomplishment. You've mended what gods nearly broke. But the myth lingers. What if the next clash comes not from nature, but from those who covet such power? Sinnoh's myths also tie into the region's ecology, where every root reflects creation's touch. The great marsh's shifting sands mimic spatial flux, while the valley windworks harness temporal cycles of harvest. Even the Pokémon themselves, Abomasnow's blizzards as echoes of Dialga's chill, or Spiritom's sealed malice hinting at distortion, embody the lore. As you collect Sinnoh's decks, each entry whispers of Arceus's design, from Regigigas hauling continents to the temporal blooms of Cherubi. In quieter moments, like fishing at the Pokémon League's edge, these myths foster reflection. Arceus's unseen nature invites faith. You battle without seeing the architect, trusting the system it built. The Distortion World challenges that trust, forcing adaptation. And the clash? It heightens stakes, making every decision feel cosmic. You, the trainer, become part of the myth, your story intertwining with the dawn. As we wrap this chapter, remember how Diamond and Pearl made you feel small, yet vital in Sinnoh's vast mythos. The creation legends, Arceus's subtle hand, the warping voids, and draconic threats, they all converge to create a region that's equal parts wonder and warning. And teasing what's ahead, those galactic ambitions promise to shatter that equilibrium in ways that will leave you questioning everything. Stay with me as we dive into that ambitious shadow next. To reach deeper into the nostalgia, let's recount a personal thread from the games. That first visit to the Solacean ruins, deciphering unknown script that spells Arceus's name. It was a puzzle that felt like uncovering the architect's signature, hidden in plain sight, or the way the Distortion World's music, with its dissonant chimes, lingers in your ears, warping time even in memory. These elements pull you back, making the mythic dawn eternal. Sinnoh teaches that creation is ongoing, a dawn that never fully rises. Dialga ticks forward, Palkia expands outward, Giratina stirs below, all under Arceus's watchful absence. Your journey through Diamond and Pearl is a microcosm, starting in dawn's light, facing distortions, averting clashes. It's why fans return, badges in hand, to relive that balance. And so, as the words fade into the night, Let Sinnoh's myths cradle your thoughts, a nostalgic lullaby of gods and guardians. The fabric holds, for now. I hope you're as amazed by this as I am. If you want to stay updated on more content like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Trust me, what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew. Galactic ambitions. In the shadowy underbelly of Sinnoh, Team Galactic wasn't just another band of trainers chasing badges or badges of honor. They were architects of apocalypse, driven by a leader whose vision of perfection demanded the unraveling of reality itself. Cyrus, with his cold stare and unyielding conviction, believed the world's chaos stemmed from human emotion, those messy threads of joy and sorrow that tangle everything up. He sought a new universe, one stripped clean of imperfection, where order reigned supreme. But as you'll discover, that pursuit peeled back layers of darkness in ways that still haunt players years later. Picture Cyrus in his stark headquarters atop Mount Coronet, the air thick with the hum of machinery and the weight of his ideology. He wasn't after power for its own sake, like so many villains before him. No, Cyrus wanted to reset the cosmic dial. Dialga, the Lord of Time, and Palkia, the ruler of space, were his keys. By summoning them and forcing a clash, he aimed to shatter the fabric of existence and rebuild it in his image. You remember that moment in Spear Pillar, right? The wind howling, the legends roaring into being, their powers clashing like thunder against the stars. It's chilling how Cyrus's plan almost worked, how his rejection of emotion made him see the world's flaws so clearly, yet blinded him to the beauty in its cracks. What makes this quest so profoundly dark is how it mirrors our own hidden desires for control. Cyrus wasn't a monster. In the traditional sense, he was a philosopher gone wrong, arguing that emotions cause all suffering. He tells you directly in the game, his voice steady and emotionless, that humanity's spirit is the root of evil. To achieve perfection, he'd erase it all, starting fresh with Pokémon, alone in a sterile paradise. But here's the twist that exposes the shadows. Perfection isn't the absence of flaws, it's the harmony within them. Cyrus's universe would have been a void, echoing and empty, because without the push and pull of feelings, there's no growth, no stories, no life. You feel that unease creeping in as you battle him, don't you? His red Gyarados slicing through the water, a symbol of controlled fury, while his philosophy unravels the very bonds that make Pokémon battles meaningful. As the dust settles after thwarting his initial scheme, the game's post-story chapters pull you deeper into this web of ambition. You climb back to the Spear Pillar, only to find distortions ripping through the sky, portals to realms unseen. This is where Giratina enters, not as a hero or villain, but as a banished spectre of the multiverse. Exiled to the reverse world for its violent nature, Giratina lurks in that twisted mirror dimension, a place where gravity flips and shadows swallow light. Cyrus, ever the seeker of new beginnings, slips into this exile, using it as a bridge to summon the renegade Pokémon and force his new world into being. But why was Giratina cast out in the first place? Arceus, the creator, deemed its aggression too raw, too disruptive to the balance Dialga and Palkia maintained. You chase Cyrus through those warped tunnels, the screen flickering with inverted colours, every step a reminder of how thin the veil between worlds really is. Giratina's design alone hints at multiversal depths, its ghostly wings, skeletal form, and that perpetual scowl suggesting entire realities folded away. In the lore, the reverse world isn't just a prison, it's a counterbalance, a shadow realm where the undone and the forbidden echo. Cyrus's intrusion there reveals the peril of tampering with exile. What if banishment isn't punishment, but protection. By pulling Giratina into our world, he risks unraveling not just Sinnoh, but threads connecting to other dimensions. Imagine it, portals blooming across the region, whispers of alternate timelines where your choices branch differently. Did you ever catch a Giratina in Platinum? That platinum orb pulsing in your bag, a key to commanding the chaos. It makes you wonder, are there infinite versions of you out there, in reversed worlds, facing reversed fates? This multiversal tease doesn't stop at Giratina's fury. Turn your gaze to the serene lakes of Sinnoh, where the post-game legends, the Lake Guardians, whisper of bonds that span the spiritual plane. Uxie, the Guardian of Knowledge, hides in Lake Acuity's icy depths, its eyes closed not in sleep, but in contemplation of all wisdom. Mesprit, ever elusive, dances across Lake Verity's waters, embodying emotion in its fleeting joy, and Azelf, bold and willful, guards Lake Valor with unshakable willpower. These three aren't mere Pokémon. They're the embodiments of the soul's core, the very elements Cyrus sought to eradicate. You track them down after the credits roll, solving riddles that feel like unlocking forgotten memories. At Lake Valor, the heat rising from the water as Azelf emerges, its gaze piercing your resolve. It's as if it's testing whether you, the player, have the will to protect what's fragile. Mesprit's appearance is a chase across the map, a pink blur that evades capture, mirroring how emotions slip through our fingers. And Uxie, perched on its island, grants knowledge only after you prove your curiosity isn't destructive. These encounters reveal interconnected spiritual bonds that Cyrus ignored at his peril. The Lake Trio isn't isolated. They're linked to the Creation Trio, Dialga, Palkia, and even Arceus itself, forming a network of energies that sustain the world. Think about the implications. When Cyrus disrupted time and space, he didn't just threaten physical reality, he frayed these spiritual threads. The Guardian's emergence postgame shows how the world's soul fights back, how emotion, knowledge, and will intertwine to mend what's broken. You battle them gently, not as foes, but as allies in restoration, their cries echoing the harmony Cyrus despised. It's a subtle payoff, one that makes Sinnoh feel alive, pulsating with connections you can't see but can feel in every rematch, every evolved form in your party. Delving deeper into Team Galactic's operations, you uncover layers of their ambition that make Cyrus's quest even more insidious. Their bases aren't just hideouts, they're labs dissecting the essence of Pokémon. In the Veilstone City headquarters, you navigate conveyor belts and security drones, eavesdropping on grunts who parrot Cyrus's doctrine with fanatic zeal. They speak of Project G as if it's salvation, collecting energy from the lakes to power their machines. But listen closely to the dialogue. Those grunts harbour doubts, flickers of emotion Cyrus can't stamp out. One admits the plan feels wrong, another questions if a world without laughter is worth having. It's these human cracks that humanise the organisation, showing how ambition corrupts from within. Cyrus's backstory adds another shade of darkness. Abandoned by emotionless parents, he grew up in a lab-like home, surrounded by cold logic. His Crobat, evolved from a Zubat found in the wild, is his only companion, an ironic symbol of wild spirit in a man who hates chaos. When you confront him in the distortion world, floating amidst crumbling platforms, he unleashes his full team. Weavile's icy precision, Honchcrow's shadowy dives, each move a calculated strike against your party's heart. Victory there doesn't end his threat. It forces him to confront his own emptiness. He vanishes into the reverse, shadows, a ghost of unfulfilled perfection, leaving you to ponder if redemption is possible for someone so utterly detached. The multiversal hints through Giratina extend beyond the game into the broader Pokémon mythos. In animations and manga adaptations, the reverse world becomes a nexus, where echoes of other regions bleed through. Ever notice how Giratina's cry warps the audio, like reality glitching? It's a sound design choice that lingers, making you question the boundaries of your save file, and tying back to the spiritual bonds the late Guardian's roles in the lore connect to global legends. Yuxi's knowledge isn't just facts, it's the collective memory of trainers worldwide, a thread pulling in experiences from Kanto to Johto. When you capture them, it's not domination, it's alliance, strengthening the web against threats like Cyrus. As you explore Sinnoh's Wilds postgame, these elements converge in unexpected ways. Fly to the battle zone for rematches, or dive into the Great Marsh, where rare sightings remind you of the world's resilience. Cyrus's failure underscores a truth. Ambition without heart leads to isolation. His new universe would have been perfect, yes, but perfectly lifeless. You, the champion, embody the counterpoint. Your team, forged through bonds of trust and trial, proves that imperfection fuels the greatest adventures. Reflect on those late-night sessions grinding for levels, the thrill of summoning Cresselia under the moon, or sealing the distortions with your palette of legendaries. Galactic Ambitions wasn't just a plot, it was a meditation on creation's cost. Cyrus's shadow lingers, a reminder that seeking perfection can distort the soul. But as Sinnoh's legends fade into quiet reflection, the journey doesn't end there. Up next, we cross into Unova's black and white divide, where ideals clash in ways that will challenge everything you thought you knew about truth and illusion. What secrets lie in that moral split? Stick around, and you'll see how it redefines the Pokémon world. Unova's black and white divide. In the 5th generation of Pokémon, Unova wasn't just another region on the map. It was a deliberate break from everything that came before, a clean slate that forced you to confront the world without the baggage of your past adventures. You step off the train in Nuvema Town with nothing but a backpack and a dream. No loyal Pikachu or Charizard waiting in the wings, no badges from Kanto or Johto to flash around. This fresh start hits you right away, like waking up in a new city where no one knows your name, and you're left to build your legacy from scratch. Why did Game Freak make that choice? It wasn't arbitrary. Unova demanded you experience the journey as if it were your very first, mirroring the philosophical clash at its heart. The eternal tug-of-war between ideals and truth, where what you believe you know crumbles under the weight of reality. Think about your first moments there. You wander into Professor Juniper's lab, the air humming with that familiar anticipation, but this time there's no sprawling PC box full of old friends. Instead, you're handed 3 choices that feel monumental because they're all you've got: the cool-headed Snivy, the fiery Tepig, or the steadfast Oshawott. Each one pulls you into Unova's duality right from the outset. Pick Snivy, and you're leaning into a world of calculated strategy. Grass types that evolve into elegant powerhouses like Serperior. Go for Tepig, and it's all about that unyielding spirit, watching it grow into the blazing Emboar, ready to charge through obstacles. Or Oshawott, with its playful resilience, transforming into the armoured Samurott. A reminder that even the smallest waves can carve canyons over time. But no matter which you choose, you're stripped bare, vulnerable, and that's the point. Unova isn't about nostalgia for what you've lost, it's about forging ahead, symbolising how ideals, those pure, untested beliefs, collide with the harsh truths of the world. As you set out on Route 1, the simplest path imaginable, battling wild Purloin and Lillipup with your lone starter. You feel that isolation keenly. No rival with a pre-evolved Eve or a cocky blue-haired kid to push you. Just Bianca and Sharon, your awkward childhood friends, fumbling through their own introductions to the trainer life. Bianca's scatterbrained enthusiasm, always dropping her potions mid-battle, and Sharon's overthinking, analysing every move like it's a philosophy exam. They represent the everyday ideals we all cling to, the hope that friendship and persistence will carry us through. But Unova whispers doubts from the start. Why build bonds with Pokémon if the world around you questions their very freedom? That question lingers as you press on, collecting your first badges in Striaton City, where the gym leaders, Silent, Chili and Cress, serve up a meal of type-based challenges that test your starter's strengths and expose its weaknesses. It's here, in these early skirmishes, that the divide begins to sharpen, pulling you deeper into a story that's less about catching them all and more about what it means to truly understand them. The heart of Unova's black and white divide pulses through its legends. Reshiram and Zekrom, twin dragons born from a single entity, torn apart by human ambition. Picture this. Long ago, twin brothers dreamed of a perfect world, one chasing ideals of harmony through innovation, the other grounded in the truth of nature's raw power. Their ideals clashed so fiercely that the original dragon split, becoming Reshiram, the vast white beast of truth, wreathed in flames that burn away illusions, and Zekrom, the imposing black dragon of ideals, crackling with thunder that electrifies dreams into reality. In black and white, your version choice isn't just cosmetic, it aligns you with one dragon's philosophy. Play black, and Zekrom's ideals drive the narrative, urging you to believe in a future where humans and Pokémon unite under bold visions. Switch to white, and Reshiram's truth demands you face the deceptions woven into society, stripping away the fairy tales to reveal the world's unvarnished edges. These dragons aren't distant myths like Lugia or Ho-Oh, they're active forces, legends you encounter early and often, their roars echoing through the story's undercurrents. Remember the first time you hear that resonant call in a Cumula town? Team Plasma's leader, Getsis, preaches liberation on a grand stage, his words slicing through the crowd like a Draco meteor. He declares Pokémon are enslaved, chained by Pokeballs to selfish trainers. And in that moment, you feel the ideals crashing against your own truth. Have you ever paused mid-game to wonder if he's right? As you chase Plasma grunts through the streets, snatching back stolen Pokémon, you're forced to question your starter's willing partnership. Is Tepig really happy battling for you? Or is it just conditioned? Unova doesn't let you ignore that. It builds the tension beat by beat. From the desert ruins where you glimpse the dragon's silhouettes to the twisted spires of the dragon's spiral tower, where their ancient rift threatens to repeat itself. But the real genius of this divide lies in how it personalizes the philosophy. You're not just a bystander, you're the hero who tips the scales. As you collect gym badges against the electric buzz of Alessa in Nimbasa, the bug-infested precision of Berg in Castelia, or the icy traps of Bryson in Isirus, you're honing not just your team, but your worldview. Your Pokémon grow alongside you, evolving in ways that mirror the internal struggle. Watch your Oshawott shed its shell into Samurott, a warrior forged in truth's fire, or your Snavy uncoil into Serperia, embodying the ideal of regal command. And through it all, the black and white palette of Unova reinforces the theme. Stark contrasts in the urban sprawl of Castelia City versus the misty wilds of Pinwheel Forest. The gleaming Sky Arrow Bridge linking dreams to reality. It's a region designed to make you choose sides, not with words, but with every battle, every capture. Enter N, the enigmatic king of Team Plasma, whose presence twists this philosophical duel into something profoundly human. At first, he seems like the ultimate idealist, a green-haired visionary with a voice like velvet thunder, communing with Pokémon in ways that make your own bonds feel superficial. He challenges you in quiet moments, releasing his own legendary, Zekrom in black, Reshiram in white, its eyes glowing with unwavering conviction. But as the story unfolds, you uncover the tragedy behind his facade. N wasn't born a revolutionary. He was crafted one, raised in isolation by Ghetsis, his adoptive father, surrounded by nothing but Pokémon to shape his worldview. Ghetsis, that scheming manipulator with his eye patch and crimson cape, fed N lies about humanity's cruelty, turning the boy's pure ideals into a weapon for his own power grab. Imagine growing up believing every human is a tyrant, your only companions the wild creatures you befriend, Zoroark disguising itself as your lost mother, Darmanitan raging in the shadows of your castle home. N's innocence shatters the narrative, transforming Unova's divide from abstract philosophy into a heartbreaking tale of liberation. Not just for Pokémon, but for the human spirit trapped in deception. You feel it most acutely during your encounters with N. In the depths of Chargestone Cave, where the magnetic rocks hum like the dragon's own heartbeat, he battles you with a team of equals, each Pokémon a testament to his belief in their freedom. "Do you hear them?" he asks, his voice echoing off the crystals. They cry out for release. And in that cave, as Boldor and Joltik clash with your own, you can't help but listen, the game's sound design pulling you into the fray. N's tragic arc peaks at N's castle, a fortress of white stone and black shadows, where he confronts his father's betrayal. Ghetsis reveals the truth. N was never meant to lead, just to be a pawn in a plan to monopolize the dragons and rule Unova. The liberation was a ruse, a way to disarm every trainer while Plasma hoarded power. N's breakdown, his quiet resolve to atone by wandering the world with his Pokémon, hits like a thunderbolt. It's not victory that lingers, it's the empathy you feel for him. The realization that ideals, unchecked by truth, can blind even the purest heart. This divide doesn't resolve neatly, it evolves. After the Elite Four, where Alder shares his own regrets about lost ideals, you chase the dragons to the Pokémon League, or the giant chasm, where the fabric of reality frays. Reshiram and Zekrom aren't prizes, they're mirrors, forcing you to reconcile the black and white within yourself. In the end, you don't claim both. That's the truth's cruel edge, but you understand their unity. The original dragon's hope, reborn through your choices. Unova leaves you changed, your team a mosaic of the journey. Excadrill burrowing through doubts, Haxorus cleaving illusions, perhaps even catching legendary birds like Braviary to soar above the divide. It's a region that asks, what will you build on this fresh start? Will you chase ideals blindly or temper them with truth? As you reflect on N's liberation, freeing himself from Ghetsis' chains and setting out to atone, you can't shake the feeling that Unova's story is just one layer of a deeper harmony waiting to be uncovered. Up next, in Harmony's hidden melody, we'll dive into the rhythms that bind regions together in ways you never expected, revealing secrets that resonate long after the credits roll. What melodies have you overlooked in your own Pokémon symphony? Harmony's hidden melody. In the heart of the Unova region, where legends whisper through the windswept plains and ancient ruins, music isn't just background noise. It's the pulse of power itself, weaving through every clash of Pokémon in battle. You felt it before, haven't you? That rhythmic swell in the soundtrack as your team charges forward, turning a simple fight into something almost alive, like a melody fighting to be heard. Today, We're uncovering harmony's hidden melody, the way songs shape destinies in ways you might have overlooked during those late-night gaming sessions. Let's start with the battles themselves. Picture this. You're deep in the Elite Four challenge, Pikachu versus a towering Haxorus, and suddenly the music shifts. It's not random. Those composers at Game Freak layered in themes that mirror the chaos and strategy on screen. Short punchy notes for quick dodges, building crescendos as attacks ramp up, almost like the Pokémon are dancing to an invisible orchestra. Remember the black and white games? The battle music there draws from orchestral swells, blending electronic beats with traditional instruments to evoke Unova's blend of modern cities and rustic folklore. It's subtle, but it pulls you in, making every type advantage feel like a harmonious counterpoint. Why does this matter? Because in Pokémon, music isn't decoration. It's a tool that heightens the emotion, turning a grind into a performance you can't look away from. You press that A button and the world syncs up, your heart racing with the drums. But what if I told you one Pokémon embodies this musical essence more than any other? Enter Meloetta, the star of our hidden melody. This mythical Pokémon isn't your typical fighter. It's a songbird in a world of beasts, capable of shifting forms through the sheer power of its voice. In her default aria form, Meloetta floats gracefully, her voice a soothing aria that heals and calms, like a lullaby from the game's soundtrack come to life. But sing the right tune, her signature move, Relic Song, and she transforms into pirouette form, trading melody for rhythm, her steps turning into a fierce dance that boosts her attacks. It's like watching a ballerina become a warrior mid-performance. You first meet her in the anime's Best Wishes series, where she hides in a theatre, her songs echoing through the streets of Lithograph City. Ash and his friends stumble upon her during a festival, and from there, it's a whirlwind of chases and choruses. Think about how this plays out in battle. Meloetta's transformations aren't just cosmetic, they're strategic symphonies. In aria form, she hits with psychic and hyper voice, waves of sound that disorient foes without a single claw raised. Switch to pirouette, and suddenly she's close combat ready, her dance steps pounding the ground like a drum solo. Trainers who used her in competitive play back in Generation 5 knew the thrill. Time your Relic Song just right, and you flip the battlefield's tempo. I remember grinding for her in Pokémon White 2, event exclusive and elusive. But once she joined my team, battles felt different. Her cries, those pixelated chirps, pulled me deeper into the nostalgia, reminding me why Pokémon always felt like more than a game. It's as if Meloetta's song is the region's heartbeat, syncing with the music that underscores every victory. Now, layer in the drama, because no melody is complete without tension. Team Plasma enters the stage here, their green uniforms and noble speeches about Pokémon liberation masking a far darker composition. At first, they seem like misguided activists, preaching freedom from trainers' bonds. But as Unova's story unfolds, their facade starts to crack, revealing manipulations that twist the very soul of the region. You see it in the games. Getsy's, their shadowy leader, uses Meloetta as a pawn in his schemes. In the anime, they capture her during a performance, forcing her voice to control other Pokémon, turning songs of joy into commands of control. It's chilling, isn't it? What starts as a crusade for liberty unravels into a bid for domination, with Meloetta's melody weaponized to bend minds. Delve deeper, and the revelations hit harder. Team Plasma's grunts aren't all true believers. Many are coerced, their ideals exploited like notes in a discordant chord. Remember the Drift Veil drawbridge scene in Black and White? Plasma interrupts with their propaganda, but cracks show whispers of internal dissent, hints that Getsy's pulls strings from the shadows. By the time you reach the Pokémon World Tournament, their plans escalate, involving legendary forces that tie back to music's hidden power. Meloetta's song becomes a key, unlocking barriers in ancient ruins, her voice resonating with the relics of Unova's past. It's a metaphor for the region itself. Surface harmony, hiding turbulent undercurrents. You play through it, and suddenly those boss battles feel personal, the music swelling as truths emerge. How could a group preaching freedom be so enslaved to their own lies? It forces you to question every alliance, every capture you've made. And speaking of legends, nothing crumbles a facade like the roar of a dragon. Kyurem, the boundary Pokémon, frozen in the giant chasm, holds the ultimate revelation in its icy core. This ancient beast isn't alone in its power. It's the missing piece to Unova's creation myth, the grey counterpart to Reshiram and Zekrom, ideals and truth locked in eternal conflict. But fuse it with them, and you unlock forms that redefine dragon power. Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, behemoths born from DNA splicers scavenged in the game's postgame. Imagine the moment in Pokémon Black 2, Colress, Plasma's scientist, activates the fusion. Kyurem merging with Zekrom in a blaze of black energy. The screen shakes, the music hits a thunderous peak, and suddenly you're facing a dragon that freezes the air and scorches the earth in one breath. These fusion forms aren't just stronger, they're revelations of balance shattered. Black Kyurem channels raw force, its freeze shock blending ice and electricity into devastating combos. White Kyurem, meanwhile, harmonizes fire and freeze, a testament to Unova's dual nature. Team Plasma's manipulations peak here. Getsy's aims to wield this power to remake the world, using Kyurem as his symphony's finale. But the facade fully crumbles when the heroes intervene. The fusion's reversible, only through courage and connection. In the anime's Dicolor Islands arc, echoes of this play out, with Meloetta's song aiding in thawing Kyurem's heart. Her melody piercing the ice where brute force fails. It's poetic, how music bridges the gap between frozen isolation and fiery truth. You can't help but feel the weight of it, replaying those encounters, the nostalgia mixing with awe at how interconnected it all is. Let's linger on that interconnectedness because Unova's story thrives on these threads. Take a trainer's journey through Icira City, where snow falls like forgotten notes, and battles against plasma admins reveal their fractured loyalty. One grunt defects, spilling secrets about stolen Pokémon used in experiments, their cries twisted into data for Kyurem's enhancements. It's not just plot, it's emotional, pulling at that childhood sense of right and wrong. Meloetta's transformations mirror this, from gentle singer to defiant dancer. She represents adaptation, much like how players adapt strategies mid-battle, syncing with the theme music shifts. Ever notice how Relic's song has a 30% chance to put foes to sleep? It's a nod to music's dual edge, comfort or conquest. Expand on the battles and you'll see musical themes everywhere. In the Pokémon musical minigame from Black and White, you literally choreograph performances, props and dances, amplifying your Pokémon's appeal. Meloetta shines there, her forms adding flair that boosts scores, turning competition into collaboration. But tie it to the main quest and it deepens. Team Plasma disrupts these events, their interference a sour note that exposes their envy of true harmony. Revelations pour out. Getsy's plan to use Kyurem's fusions to control all legendaries, manipulating Meloetta's voice as the catalyst. It's a web of deceit, unraveling in the giant chasm's depths, where the air hums with latent power. You feel the suspense building, don't you? As Kyurem awakens fully, its cry a low, resonant hum that vibrates through your speakers. The fusions unlock not just stats but story layers. Black Kyurem's Terravolt ability ignores defenses, a metaphor for Plasma's bulldozing ideals. White Kyurem's Turbo Blaze burns through resistances, echoing the fire of exposed truths. In the endgame, battling these forms tests everything. Your team, your patience, your nostalgia for simpler routes. Defeating them doesn't just win the fight, it harmonizes Unova's chaos, Meloetta's song fading into triumphant silence. But hold on, because these revelations ripple outward, hinting at worlds untouched by Unova's chill. As Team Plasma's manipulations fade into echoes, the horizon calls to realms of eternal bloom and hidden mega-evolutions where harmonies evolve into something even more profound. What secrets lie in worlds beyond Kalos? Stick around and you'll discover how the melody continues, pulling you deeper into the night. Wait, that's just the beginning of this chapter's depth. Let's circle back and explore how these elements intertwined in your own playthroughs. Remember the first time you heard Meloetta's event cry in the game? That ethereal trill, cutting through the DS's tinny speakers, making the world feel magical again. In battles, her presence changed the flow. Against Plasma's forces in the Pokémon League, her hyper voice scattered their ranks like notes on the wind. And the facade, it crumbled piece by piece, first with N's revelations about his upbringing, a manipulated prince in a king's game. Then Ghetsis' rage-fueled breakdown, his mask slipping to reveal a tyrant cloaked in virtue. Kyurem's fusions added the epic scale. Acquiring the DNA splicers meant side quests through the Pokémon World Tournament, facing champions who unknowingly echoed musical themes in their strategies. Fluid combos like a well-rehearsed score. Fusing Kyurem with Reshiram in White 2 unlocked White Kyurem, its design a fusion of grace and fury, wings like frozen flames. The power revelations, overwhelming, base stats soaring to 700, moves like glaciate that half speed, turning dragons into untouchable forces. Yet it's the lore that lingers. Kyurem as the husk of the original dragon, split by human greed, now reunited through Plasma's ambition. Their deeper manipulations, controlling the weather with Kyurem's might, forcing Pokémon into servitude under the guise of protection. It's a betrayal that stings, especially when Meloetta's song, pure and free, contrasts their control. In the anime, this all crescendos during the N arc. Meloetta, bonded with Ash, uses her transformations to counter Plasma's mechs. Her pirouette form, dodging lasers in a ballet of evasion. Songs become shields, melodies mending what machines break. Team Plasma's crumble is visceral, officers turning on Ghetsis, the organization's ideals fracturing like ice under heat. Revelations flood in, experiments on legendaries, hidden bases pulsing with stolen energy. You watch or replay, and it hits that mix of excitement and melancholy, the nostalgia of Unova's bittersweet end. To make it personal, think of your favourite Unova battle. Was it against the Shadow Triad, their eerie flutes mimicking Meloetta's calls, or the climax with Kyurem, the screen filling with draconic fury? Music tied it all, from the boss theme's orchestral builds to victory fanfares that felt earned. These hidden melodies remind us why Pokémon endures. It's not just collecting, but conducting a symphony of stories. As we wrap this melody, the echoes lead us forward. The manipulations of Unova give way to fresh frontiers, where steel and stone forge new legends. But that's for later. Right now, let this harmony lull you, setting the stage for worlds beyond Kalos, a place where the music of adventure takes an unexpected turn. What awaits there will surprise you, drawing you even closer to the dreams of your Pokémon past. Worlds beyond Kalos. In the heart of the Kalos region, where ancient ruins whisper secrets of forgotten battles, A new era of power awakened with Generation 6's X and Y games. Mega Evolution wasn't just an upgrade, it was a fleeting surge of energy that transformed Pokémon and their trainers in ways that redefined loyalty and strength. You remember that moment, don't you? When your Charizard's wings ignited with a blaze of mega power, or your Lucario's aura pulsed like a living heartbeat, all triggered by the bond you shared. It was temporary, yes, just a burst during the heat of combat, but in that instant, it felt eternal, a testament to the unbreakable ties between human and Pokémon that had been building since the very first games. Kalos itself was a land of elegance and mystery, inspired by the rolling hills and grand architecture of France. But beneath its beauty lay layers of lore that pulled you deeper into the world's expanding tapestry. As you explored Lumiose City, with its towering prism tower piercing the sky like a beacon of light, you couldn't help but sense that this region was a gateway to something larger. The games introduced us to the Kalos War, a conflict from 1,000 years prior where legendary Pokémon clashed, leaving scars on the land that still echoed in every cave and forest. But it was Mega Evolution that stole the spotlight, allowing over 50 Pokémon to evolve into mega forms, each one a visual and strategic marvel. Think about it, Blaziken kicking with fiery precision, or Garchomp slicing through foes with draconic fury. These weren't permanent changes. They required a Mega Stone and the trainer's keen focus, emphasizing that true power comes from harmony, not dominance. What made Mega Evolution so revolutionary was how it empowered those bonds you nurtured from the start of your journey. In X and Y, you began as a young trainer in Vanilleville Town, choosing between Chespin, Fennekin or Froakie. And from there, every gym battle, every rival encounter with Serena or Callum, built toward those mega moments. The key item, the Mega Ring, synced with your Pokémon's energy, creating a spectacle of light and transformation that felt personal, almost intimate. It wasn't about collecting stones for show, it was about understanding your partner's potential. Remember hunting for the Venusaurite in the wilds of Route 13, or the challenge of finding Ampharisite hidden in the shadowy depths of the Pokémon village? Each discovery deepened your connection, turning what could have been a grind into a heartfelt adventure. And when you faced the Elite Four, with Diantha's Gardevoir Mega evolving into a psychic goddess of grace, you realised this mechanic wasn't just gameplay, it was a narrative, Aureate device showing how fleeting power highlights the enduring strength of trust. But as you delved further into Kalos, shadows began to creep in, hinting at threats far greater than any gym leader. Enter Zygarde, the enigmatic guardian of the ecosystem, whose role unveiled the fragile pulse of life itself. In X and Y, Zygarde appeared as a serpentine legend, coiled in the wilds of Terminus Cave, but its true purpose simmered beneath the surface, waiting for later revelations. You see, Zygarde wasn't a destroyer like some legends. It was a protector, monitoring the balance of nature with an almost sentient vigilance. The life pulse, as the lore described it, was the vital energy flowing through all living things in the Pokémon world, a rhythmic heartbeat that sustained forests, oceans, and skies alike. When that pulse faltered, Zygarde stirred, its 10% former slithering into action as a swift defender, or its 50% former rising as an armoured behemoth ready to restore order. Imagine the unease that built as you uncovered clues about this guardian. In the games, Zygarde's cells were scattered across Kalos, like puzzle pieces of the planet's immune system, collectible through your Pokédex. Each one you found, hidden in the underbrush of Route 11 or the cliffs of Sillage City, revealed fragments of its story. But why was it fragmented? The answer lay in the growing threats to that life pulse, from human expansion carving into habitats to the unchecked ambition of teams like Team Flare. Lysandre, the charismatic yet villainous leader, sought to purify the world with the ultimate weapon powered by legendary energy, oblivious or indifferent to how it would disrupt the very essence of life. Sigurd's emergence exposed this peril. Its incomplete forms a warning that the ecosystem teetered on the brink. You felt that tension in battles against Team Flare grunts, their holographic devices draining life from the land, and in the climactic showdown at Geosenge town, where the pulse of Kalos seemed to weaken under the strain. Sigurda's eco-guardian role wasn't fully realised until the post-game and later entries, but even in X and Y, it planted seeds of environmental awareness that resonated with you as a player. Picture riding your Rhyhorn through the rustling grasses of Kalos, only to stumble upon Sigurd's core in the depths of Route 16, its eyes glowing with quiet determination. It embodied the idea that Pokémon weren't just companions or tools, they were stewards of the world you both inhabited. The threats to the life pulse weren't abstract. They manifested in polluted rivers near Chaleur City or the over-harvesting of rare berries in Lever Nature Trail. As Sigurd's story unfolded, it challenged you to think about your own journey. Were you preserving the balance or just chasing victories? This Guardian's vigilance turned the game's world into a living, breathing entity where every action rippled through the pulse of life. As generations progressed, the mysteries of Kalos extended beyond its borders, teasing interdimensional portals that blurred the lines between realities. In Sun and Moon, Hooper's rings opened gateways to other dimensions, pulling in extra-dimensional beings like the fierce Marshadow or the ethereal Zerara, but the roots trace back to Kalos's experimental vibes. Remember AZ's ultimate weapon from X and Y? It wasn't just a cannon, it was a rift-creating device that echoed in later lore, suggesting Kalos had long toyed with forces beyond the Veil. Ultra space, introduced in those Alolan games, felt like an evolution of that curiosity. Wormholes spitting out ultra beasts, alien Pokémon, with designs that screamed otherworldly chaos. You could almost hear the hum of those portals in your mind. A low vibration, like Sigurd's own pulse, warning of invasions that threatened to unravel the fabric of existence. And then there were the eternal legends, timeless entities that Kalos's innovations seemed to summon from the shadows. Giratina, the renegade from Sinnoh, lurked in distortion worlds that paralleled Kalos's hidden caves, its draconic form a mirror to Sigurd's serpentine grace, but twisted into exile. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the portal mechanics tied back to Kalos through Necrozma, the Prism Pokémon, whose light-draining hunger echoed the life pulse's vulnerability. You battled it in its fused forms, Duskmane or Dawnwings, feeling the weight of legends that spanned eras. Even in Sword and Shield's Galar, the Dynamax phenomenon borrowed from Mega Evolution's temporary empowerment, but the interdimensional teases peaked with Eternatus, a colossal dragon whose eternal energy core pulsed with corrupting power, much like the threats Sigurd fought to contain. These later generations didn't abandon Kalos, they expanded it, making you wonder if the region's beauty masked a nexus point for cosmic forces. Delve deeper, and you'll find how these elements intertwined in your playthroughs. Take the Sigurd Cube from the Z-Move era. It let you assemble Sigurd's forms on the fly, a nod to the Guardian's adaptability against pulse-threatening calamities. Or consider the fairy type, introduced in X and Y to counter dragons, which inadvertently opened doors to interdimensional lore by balancing the elemental chaos. Battles against portal-spawned foes in later games carried that same thrill of discovery, where a simple ring toss with Hooper could unleash a flood of legendary encounters. You felt the nostalgia hit when revisiting Kalos via Pokémon Bank, transferring your mega-capable team to face new threats. Realizing how Zygarde's role had evolved into a symbol of resilience across dimensions. But what if those portals weren't just threats? They hinted at wonder too, worlds where the life pulse echoed in alien rhythms, guarded by legends as eternal as time itself. In Legends, Arceus, time-bending mechanics evoked Kalos's war-torn past, with portals to Hisui feeling like echoes of ultra wormholes. You chased after spectral forms of Palkia and Dialga, their control over space and time teasing how Kalos's megabursts might ripple through eternity. And in Scarlet and Violet's Paldea, the Paradox Pokémon from Area Zero, ancient or future variants, suggested interdimensional rifts had been pulling at the world's threads since Kalos's dawn. Zygarde's eco-vigilance seemed almost prophetic, exposing how fragile that pulse was against such vast unseen forces. As you let these stories wash over you, picture the quiet satisfaction of completing Zygarde's cell collection. The screen filling with its complete 100% former, a towering colossus ready to defend the pulse. It was more than a super boss, it was a culmination of Kalos's themes, blending mega empowerment with guardian duty. Later games amplified this, with interdimensional events in Pokémon Go, where Ultra Beasts invaded real-world maps, making you hunt them under the stars, feeling the eternal legends watch from afar. Hooper's mischievous portals, Giratina's antimatter realm, even the dream worlds of Cresselia and Darkrai, they all built on Kalos's foundation, turning your nostalgia into a bridge across generations. Yet for all the bursts of power and shadowy guardians, Kalos left you with a sense of expansion, a world growing beyond its elegant borders into realms of infinite possibility. The temporary thrill of mega evolution mirrored the fleeting glimpses of those portals, reminding you that bonds, like the life pulse, thrive on moments of intensity amid the calm. Zygarde's exposures weren't endings. They were calls to explore further, to embrace the eternal legends that whispered of dreams yet to unfold. And speaking of dreams, that brings us to the enduring legacy they leave behind, a tapestry of aspirations that Pokémon has woven through every generation. In the next chapter, Enduring Legacy of Dreams, we'll uncover how these visions shaped the heart of the series, pulling you into slumbers filled with wonder you never knew you craved. What secrets do those dreams hold for your own nostalgic journey? Stay with me, and let's find out together. Enduring Legacy of Dreams. Did you know that over 25 years after the first Pokémon games hit the shelves, fan-created stories and artwork have generated more content than the official franchise itself? It's a staggering reality, one that shows how deeply these pocket monsters have burrowed into our collective imagination, refusing to fade away. As we wrap up this journey through the glowing memories of our childhood adventures, let's turn our gaze to the enduring legacy of dreams that keeps Pokémon alive, not just in corporate boardrooms, but in the hearts and hands of everyday fans around the world. Think back for a moment to those late nights spent trading cards or battling with friends. What made those moments magical wasn't just the creatures on the screen, it was the stories we built around them. And today that spirit thrives in fan communities, places where creativity flows unchecked and unbound. These aren't casual gatherings, they're vibrant ecosystems pulsing with life. On platforms like DeviantArt or Tumblr, artists pour their souls into illustrations that reimagine Pikachu as a cyberpunk hero or Charizard soaring through dystopian skies. I've seen pieces where entire alternate universes unfold, with trainers facing moral dilemmas that the games never touched. One artist, known online as Pixel Pokemaster, spent years crafting a graphic novel series where Ash Ketchum grows up, confronts loss, and passes the torch to a new generation. It's not canon, but it feels real, doesn't it? It captures that ache we all feel when our heroes age, turning nostalgia into something profoundly personal. But it's not just visual art that's sustaining this world. Fan fiction communities on sites like Archive of Our Own boast millions of Pokémon stories, each one a testament to the franchise's endless potential. Writers explore what happens after the credits roll. Does Misty ever find her own path beyond the gym? How does Brock's cooking empire fare in a post-adventure world? These tales aren't written for profit. They're gifts to fellow fans, shared freely to keep the flame alive. I remember stumbling upon a series called Echoes of the League, where a retired champion uncovers a hidden region teeming with forgotten Pokémon. The author wove in elements from every generation, blending the innocence of Kanto with the epic stakes of Kalos. Readers don't just consume it, they contribute, suggesting plot twists or even co-authoring chapters. This collaborative magic is what sets Pokémon apart. It's a franchise that invites you in, hands you the pencil, and says, "Now, what happens next?" Through these stories, fans aren't preserving history, they're actively shaping the future, ensuring that the dreams we chased as kids evolve with us. And let's not overlook the role of conventions and online forums in this sustenance. Events like Pokémon Regional Championships aren't just about competition. They're reunions where cosplayers embody their favourite characters, from elegant Gardevoir gowns to rugged Machamp armour. At PAX or Comic-Con, you'll find panels dedicated to fan theories, where enthusiasts debate the deepest lore, like whether Mewtwo's origin story hints at themes of artificial intelligence gone wrong. These discussions spark new art, new stories rippling outward. Online subreddits like r/Pokémon fanart explode with daily uploads, each post a spark that ignites conversations. One thread I followed chronicled a global fan project, thousands collaborating on a massive, hand-drawn world map of the Pokémon universe, incorporating fan-made regions from every corner of the globe. Japan contributed misty bamboo forests, hiding elusive spirits, while fans from Brazil added vibrant rainforests with electric jaguar-like beasts. It's a mosaic of cultures, proving that Pokémon's appeal transcends borders, uniting us in shared wonder. This fan-driven endurance isn't accidental, it's the lifeblood of the franchise. Without it, Pokémon might have stayed a quaint 90s relic, like so many other games that faded into obscurity. Instead, these communities act as guardians, petitioning for remakes, influencing merchandise, even catching the eye of developers. Remember how fan campaigns led to the return of beloved features in newer titles like the return of the National Pokédex. That's the power of collective passion. You, as a fan, are part of this. Your sketches, your headcanons, your late-night fanfics, they all contribute to a legacy that's bigger than any single game or show. It's humbling to realise that the stories you tell in your own mind might one day inspire someone else, creating an endless chain of dreams. Shifting gears now, consider how Pokémon Go burst onto the scene in 2016 and reignited that global nostalgia like a wildfire. Suddenly, those pocket monsters weren't confined to screens. They stepped into our real world, turning neighbourhoods into adventure zones. I was there on launch day, phone in hand, wandering parks with strangers united by the hunt for a rare spawn. It wasn't just a game, it was a revival, pulling lapsed fans back in droves. Over 1 billion downloads later, it's clear why. Pokémon Go transformed passive nostalgia into active participation, making you chase a Bulbasaur down your street or gather with hundreds at a raid for a legendary like Rayquaza. That real-world element, it reignited memories in the most visceral way. Picture this, a group of adults, ties loosened after work, laughing as they battle a gym in a city square, reminiscing about trading Game Boy cartridges under the covers. What made it so potent was how it bridged generations. Kids discovered Pokémon through AR hunts with their parents, who in turn shared tales of their red and blue days. In Japan, where it all began, players flocked to shrines and historical sites, blending ancient culture with digital whimsy. One story that stuck with me was from a community in New York. During the early pandemic, virtual raids kept isolated fans connected, turning solitude into solidarity. You'd log in, see friends from across the country, and for a moment, the world felt smaller, more hopeful. Pokémon Go didn't just revive nostalgia, it amplified it, proving these creatures could adapt to our changing lives. Features like buddy walks encouraged daily steps, tying health to adventure, while events like GoFest drew millions worldwide, creating shared experiences that echo the communal joy of the original anime. This real-world revival has had lasting ripples. It boosted the entire franchise, inspiring spin-offs, and even influencing mainline games with mechanics like Dynamax raids drawn from Gyo's battles. But more than that, it reminded us why Pokémon endures. It's about exploration, connection, and that thrill of discovery. You step outside, heart pounding, and there it is, a shiny Eevee glinting in the grass. In that instant, you're 10 again. The world infinite with possibility. Global nostalgia surged because Go made it personal, accessible, turning every park bench into a potential legend encounter. Fans who once felt the series had grown too complex found a gentle re-entry, sparking renewed interest in the core games. It's no wonder attendance at official events skyrocketed post-Go. The app acted as a gateway, pulling you back into the fold with open arms. As we reflect on how these pocket monsters continue to capture hearts across generations, it's impossible not to feel a swell of gratitude. From the wide-eyed wonder of millennials glued to their TVs in the 90s, to Gen Z trading tips on TikTok for the latest shiny hunts, Pokémon has evolved without losing its soul. It's seen us through playground rivalries, teenage heartbreaks, and adult stresses, offering escape and camaraderie every time. Take my own journey. As a kid, catching my first Venusaur felt like conquering the universe. Now, sharing AR photos of that same Venusaur with my niece, I see the cycle continue. She giggles at its vine whips, asks about the old cartoons, and suddenly, the generations overlap in laughter. This capturing of hearts isn't luck, it's design. Satoshi Tajiri drew from his bug-collecting youth to create a world where every encounter matters. Every bond deepens. Grandparents introduce classics to grandkids, who then discover modern twists like terrestrial phenomena. The franchise's adaptability, anime arcs tackling friendship and perseverance, games challenging strategy and patience, ensures it resonates at every age. Even in tough times like economic downturns or global crises, Pokémon communities rally, hosting charity streams or virtual tournaments. One initiative during tough years raised millions for conservation, tying the game's themes of harmony with nature to real impact. It's this emotional anchor that keeps us coming back. You feel it when a long-lost friend messages about a shared memory, or when a new trailer drops and the internet erupts in joyful memes. Pokémon doesn't just entertain, it fosters a sense of belonging, whispering that adventure awaits, no matter your stage in life. Yet what strikes me most is the quiet persistence. In a world of fleeting trends, Pokémon stands firm, its legacy woven from fan threads and innovative revivals like Gyo. These elements ensure it won't dim anytime soon, Fans sustain it through art that immortalizes emotions, stories that expand horizons, and communities that nurture the spark. Go's real-world magic reignites that fire, making nostalgia a living, breathing force. And through it all, Pocket Monsters capture hearts by mirroring our own dreams of growth, friendship, and endless possibility. As we draw this nostalgic odyssey to a close, hold on to that warmth you felt building throughout. In the next moments, we'll distill these reflections into the ultimate takeaway, revealing why Pokémon's legacy isn't just enduring, it's eternally yours. Pokémon's legacy isn't just enduring, it's eternally yours. If this story resonated with you, there's so much more to explore. Tap the Pokémon playlist to continue the adventure, and save it so you'll always have something soothing to fall asleep to, or choose the recommended video for another deep dive.